button. There we go. So at the moment we've got 17, 18 people in. Is there anybody who would like to start the show off with any questions today? I'm going to scroll through. I hope the sun is starting to shine through wherever you are, and life is starting to blossom. Brother Lisa H. Brother Justine will come to you after. Okay, Sister Lisa, welcome. How are you today? It's a pleasure to see you. Your sound is muted at the moment, sister.
There we go.
There we go. Welcome.
Thank you. I have kind of a medical question. Last November, I had a freak eye accident where I poked my cornea. It was extremely painful. The doctor said it would be cleared up in 48 hours. Went to emergency, everything. A week later, after seeing 4 doctors, which means also attached 4 interns, and then I got I saw a specialist in January, and she had said that when you damage the cornea, it will never heal completely. So this might be true. So my concern is that my right eye is wonky in that I was born with a cataract. So I still have that cataract. Now, what scared me, so I don't rely on my right eye, but I needed to when I couldn't see out of my left eye for almost a week. So is there anything I can do, Josh, for this eye? So I can't do anything, meaning, I can do this on this side and they say, oh, don't rub your eyes. Okay, so not only can I not do that, I cannot even go like this. I can't even wash my face. Nothing can touch the cornea on this side, on my left eye. Is there anything you think I can do to help it? Her only recommendation was that I would be using drops, which would be a pharmaceutical synthetic. Even if it's over the counter, it's synthetic.
Have you tried castor oil at all before, previously?
No.
No. If I were you, I would take a look into yourself, just so it empowers you as well. Look into castor oil drops. You say you still have the cataracts as well?
Yeah, my right eye, I have a cataract. And they say it cannot be removed, or could be removed. And this specialist will consider that because this is technically my only good eye. But they said that this has been 2 specialists over my lifetime has said, even if you have it removed, you're going to have a lazy eye because you were born with it. That processing didn't gel or connect. And so I'll never have full vision on that eye. But my right eye is extremely sensitive also. So that's why the specialist would consider removing this cataract, because at least I wouldn't have the sensitivity in the eye. So that's the medical profession that I've experienced, that I've had.
Know as well, there are extra senses and extra perceptions that we can acquire through this experience that we're having. And over time, as you start to become sensitive to the dimension that exists beyond the physical, you can have an extra sight, Obviously, even in the mainstream, you can see that there's children who have never been able to see using sonar and sound to be able to play basketball and things like this. So just know that, even things may seem as a hindrance, they may also be a wonderful driving force to somewhere where you're going to be in the future. But castor oil itself, I know that it does heal cataracts.
Okay.
And I would say that would be a good thing to look into for yourself. As for the eyes cornea, I would say the only thing that would be possible is just to keep on doing the good food, keep intermittent fasting. I haven't had too much experience with things such as that. And the only thing I know to regenerate cells or new skin would be the cannabis oil, but I wouldn't suggest putting that on the eye because it wouldn't be very comfortable because it's quite tacky.
Okay. Would you suggest castor oil in this left eye that technically?
Yeah, I would say try it with both, but do your own research because it's been about 10 or 15 years, since I've worked with it. But I know it is really good and has proven to, in my experience, cure cataracts.
Okay.
Animals, pets as well.
Okay. Well, I'll try. I'm willing to. I did hear you speak once about cataracts and castor. So I actually bought some, and I bought an eyedropper, but I didn't use it because that was one of those. Yeah, I didn't get all the information, and
Yeah.
so I've not used it, but I have purchased it. So I will try that. Okay. In terms of researching, and I'm not particularly a techie person, so any suggestion on what I would put in the search? Like castor oil and
Yeah, just
corneas,
personal
or
experiences with castor oil and then curing cataracts, and just read people's personal experiences and how it's helped them.
okay.
Try not to read the hearsay from other things, just people's real true experiences.
Yeah, I agree with that one. I've had no bad experience with the medical profession until this time, where all these doctors are saying, oh, 48 hours, it'll be fine, and nothing like that happened. And then you talk to the specialist, which you'd think that all these doctors would know this information. She says, oh, no, when you damage the cornea, it'll never repair. I'm thinking, what? Okay.
Yeah.
Fine. But it's still very painful at times. And that was in
stem cell research and things like that. If you're going towards the medical industry, I don't have any idea, but I know that does help regeneration and things like that. But again, I think this may help you just dive deeper into the true sciences and theosophy and the truth about our experience. Is it uncomfortable to live with, or is it something that you don't really notice anymore?
No, I noticed, and that's why it's
Okay.
ever present. I'm not worrying about it. I'm thinking, well, this happened. It happened for a reason, and I'm just trying to move forward the best way possible, understanding how wonky my right eye actually is when I didn't have access to it with having the left eye damaged for even the week. But because it's my eyes, and just going to might sound, I'm an artist, designer, builder. I'm sure I could build other things or do other things without my vision, but it becomes one of these things that you want to keep hold of for as long as possible.
Of course. Well, your body's going to regenerate what it can. It just, if there's scar tissue, scar tissue, as you see on your hands, once you have scar tissue, the tissue is very different.
Right. Okay.
But again, we're moving into this space where these technologies are going to be available, but the Tesla ray, the violet ray, if you hands on a true one of them, then I definitely think that would be so beneficial. But they're quite hard to come by, so I would just hold on for a little bit longer until we have access to these. Since the sort of 1920s and 1930s, the technology was different. And you need the cold plasma, not the hot plasma, because one's destructive and one's repairing. So you just got to make sure you have the right technology. Okay. So pre 1920s, you're going to have the good technology, and then after that, it's kind of different. And now they're sold within the beauty industry.
Okay.
But they would be the hot energy, which is not healing. It's destructive. So just see, and I just think it's times moving forward, and as we're all collectively coming together through this period, I think it won't be more than a few years before we get these things together.
Cool. Okay. A much easier question. Is there anything I should be aware of in juicing beets?
I would say that in my own personal experiences, when I juice beets and carrots and these root vegetables, it doesn't sit very well with me.
Okay.
It's just a totally different feeling. So just see if it sits with you, it's going to be fine. Okay. As we progress through the journey of food, and I've spoken to many people within our family who have off the garlic and onion when we could all eat this previously before, and they put it back into their system and you can't eat it. You know, it's so top
Oh, interesting. Because historically, I've not
for
had
that.
any food. So, like, I know that I tried ice cream
Hmm.
a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, wow, I can never have ice cream again now.
Yeah.
Not that it's killing me, like killing me not to have it, but just I'm trying to introduce in terms of kind of a playing with the food that I used to be able to eat, no problem with. And so that's interesting that you said the garlic and the onions and people reintroduce them and it doesn't sit well.
Yeah, you know, if you was in your natural state of being around a wonderful environment with fruit and natural waters, and you come across a freezer with an ice cream in it, and you ate that, you'd know that that was not your food.
Yeah, yeah, fair enough. But see, but my addiction was never alcohol or drugs. It was sugar. And as they say, uh, sugar is harder to give up than crack cocaine.
Yeah, you try and get some sugar cane imported into you, maybe if you bought it. You know, that's a good substitute. You just peel the skin and chew on the cane, and it
Oh,
give you that sensation as you transition. And the most delectable ice cream, you know, the most rich ice cream you could ever have, soft scoop it remains as well, would be if you just get 3 or 4 coconuts and you put them through your masticating juicer, and then mix them with about 20 dates. You blend the dates up, and the cream that comes out of them, you mix them together and you put them in the freezer. It remains soft scoop and it's so rich and creamy. It's like the praline, but a lot sweeter. And you know, these things can be done. It's just practice and a little bit of alchemy.
I did try the cream, the coconut cream. I tried it once, thinking, wow, this is amazing.
Did you do it with dates?
No, I didn't make ice cream. I just wanted to make the coconut cream
Okay.
to see if I could do it on with my juicer, and it worked. I had to watch all kinds of videos, and I was, okay, let's try it, and it worked, and it
It
tasted.
does come out like clotted cream, and you know you can make everything. You know, I think the industry's truly made everything that was created wonderfully bad, and that was the hard thing.
It is the hard thing with me because when we want to treat ourselves, what do? We grew up with treating ourselves. Now, in retrospect, are things that are poisoning us. So it's strange for me to wrap my head around that.
Yeah.
Because
Sick.
alcohol is bad. It's never been good. Okay, maybe a glass of wine at dinner, or maybe the red wine's good for you. I don't know. I'm not much of a drinker, but and now I don't drink at all.
Yeah, it's good.
So, and with the good thing about the juicing, the sweetness of the juice satiated this need for sweetness on my palate that I'd grown up with.
Yeah.
But now, not to, how do I treat myself? Oh, let's go buy a papaya.
Yeah. Well, the true treats are the treat eats.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And you know, when they're fresh, when they're ripe, and they're like nothing else. But unfortunately, most of modern day people are experiencing very under nutritional, picked early fruits that don't really ripen. And when you get to the places that they're grown, you experience, well, like I said, if you've never had an avocado off a tree, I know they're not ripened on the tree, but you know, leave them maybe 10 days. There's nothing like it. The creamy of creams.
The only I've tried off the tree is an apple, a peach, and an apricot. Every other fruit is all shipped in.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. It's the eye was the important one, and I just wanted to ask about the beets because don't eat beets. That's very dangerous to eat them when they're raw. And then so it's fine. I said, okay, let's just ask Josh, see what he says.
I would say, you know, eating them raw is the better way. When you cook them, that's when it becomes dangerous.
Mm-hmm. Oh, why?
The chemical is released inside of them that becomes toxic through our system. But I just don't really resonate with them. You know, you can grate them in a salad or juice them.
Mm-hmm.
But if you consistently have it over a few days, you'll see what it's doing to the body. You'll find what I did over a long period of time was I would have certain foods, but I would eat them over a course so I could truly see what was happening to my system as I ate them. So I would put them into my body strongly for a 7, 8, 10-day period and eat them consistently and just put in one thing and change that. And then I could feel what it was doing to my system. And beets is just one of those things. But, you know, Logically, everything above ground, fruits drop from the tree. Anything else has to be pulled up. There's an ecosystem underground that needs these certain elements and these beautiful creatures that completely clean up the soil and make everything balanced underneath. They need some nutrition too and replenishment. So for me, logically, above ground fruits that drop themselves effortlessly from the tree every single year without the need for replanting with seeds inside that regenerate life, it just seems to be the most obvious tool for feeding our body. Even seasonal fruit and veg that we have to plant every year is not necessarily the simplest way to consume food,
It's just really bizarre how still the nutritional literature is saying stay away from fruit, like still.
It's because they are told that sugar is sugar.
Mm-hmm.
Sugar is processed and it's bleached and it goes through factories and metal machines and driven and is put in boxes and sits on shelves. It's completely dead and nutritional, but yet you have a sugar cane. It's alive. It has juice. You can juice it. It may not be the highly nutritious fruit juice that we can consume, but it still has living water, living food, living enzymes. There's no enzymes, there's no digestion, there's no absorption with sugar. It's a toxic waste. The body has toxins, it has to do something with them. So it gets stored on the waste as waste. And then you continue to consume these foods and it builds up on the body. People may eat 1 or 2 fruit or veggies a day that allows their system just to tick over, but the body doesn't really get a chance to heal. And unfortunately, we're seeing people live to like 50, 60, 70 max. And, our body's capable of living for a very, very long time. But rarely do you meet any civilization that consumes just fruit.
Everybody, because everyone's saying, oh, they'd noticed a change in me. So physically, maybe mentally. And that's really why I went into this, is for the mental, not the physical. Yeah. But everybody, without exception, said, oh, you don't eat so much fruit. And I've been on this since December. And it's now May 23rd, and people still say that to me.
But do they see the difference in you?
Well, yes, in terms of, remember you said to weigh yourself. So I weighed in at 187. And now I only weigh myself once a month, the first of the month.
Okay.
And so now, May 1st, I was 160. And so to put it in a different way, I dropped from a size 36, we'll call it tight, to a 32 waist, fine, or maybe on a little bit of a loose side. And again, I'm not complaining. I'm not doing this to lose weight. It's I want to understand what food that we put through our mouths, and yes, it makes its way down and exits our body, but what's it doing within our body? What's it doing to our mind? What's it doing to my mind? Yeah. And so I realize now that is my addiction, and I think I've got a good handle on it now, and I question myself when I want to reach for the. It's a good thing I don't see you right now. When I say I get the Fair Trade Organic chocolate bar. Yeah.
What I would say is, if you're at that stage there, I would get 100% chocolate cocoa.
Okay.
And then you wash your dates up, and you put 1 square of 100% chocolate cocoa with a date. You put that in your mouth together and you chew them together, and then you'll get the taste of chocolate with the same texture, crunch, and everything. That's the way around it.
Oh, okay.
And if you're a chocolate lover, that's going to be the best thing that you could really do. And once you get over the fact that you're putting a date and a piece of chocolate in your mouth at the same time, then you'll just have the same flavor that you've always searched for.
Yeah, I'm on to having a chocolate bar a week, if even that, versus a chocolate bar a day type of thing. So, and again, it's more, I don't want to deny myself anything, because I know it's my head or my gut telling me what I need or don't need. So I want to just be conscious of, what is my body telling me? What is my head telling me?
Yeah.
And what is it not telling me? Say, what are these cravings telling me about what's just underneath that
Yeah.
craving?
Yeah.
What really is the craving there that I'm substituting with a food? Because I'm realizing I would have considered myself saying to myself that I have a food addiction. But going on this juicing since December, and it was great that we did the 21 days and then the fasting, the water fasting, because it kicked my mind and my body into something. So it doesn't seem to be that difficult for me to remain on this, where I have a juice in the morning and a juice at night, and I have something raw in the at lunchtime. And if I want to add something, then just add it, and then just say thank you. You've done it, and how do you feel? And do
Yeah.
you want to do this next time?
Yeah.
And that's kind of how listening to you and listening to everybody talk about their own personal experiences and watching the video, saying, yeah, this is all a journey. It's all a process for all of us. And how do we get there? It's like I
Slow
don't
and,
have any end game.
slow
I
and
can't move
steady.
to Portugal. I can't move to um, uh, what's the other one? There's
Costa
Costa
Rica.
Rica. Yeah, that's not an option for me right now because of family commitments. So you
Mm.
think, okay, if you don't have that, that's not an option, and you live in a city, what are your options now?
Yeah.
So,
You
anyway,
have
thank you.
you have life, and you just let life lead you.
Okay.
And every moment that you're in is exactly for you and the evolution of yourself. So the world itself, external to you, is really irrelevant to the process or the alchemy that's happening inside. This is Elisa's world.
Mhm.
And we're all in this energetic Taurus earth plane together. There is nothing greater than this space to exist in, to heighten and progress in awareness.
Mhm.
And there's so many different levels of awareness, so many different types of food, so many different types of thinking. As you said, I think mankind's addictions are thinking and food. And once we can get these two out of the way, then we get access to heightened states of consciousness, and we can interact with energies that are not seen or at those lower levels of awareness. And as we progress, we see higher and higher, and these interactions with the external energies that are here has been masked for many years and bastardized by the system. But again, the system will always bastardize it because it keeps the states of consciousness where they are, and everything is perfect. And we have to come to that, that acceptance that, everything is perfect. And if we try to change anything, all we're doing is we're bringing the mind into play. And the only thing that we can really focus on is the internal environment and how we're going to get past the next stage. Because life is truly a game, and it is the very best game. There is nothing better. There is nothing more important than this very moment we're in. If we ever drift off in the mind, all we need to do is realize the presence, which is now. And then we come back. And then if you can just see the beauty in every moment and not get lost in the interpretation from the mind, then every second is pure bliss, because you're just having a new, fresh moment every second that you exist. And it's only your beliefs and the patterns of thinking and the behavior of the mind and the association with objects that keeps us trapped. And that's the scripture that says God is not a respecter of persons,
Mhm.
because he cannot. You are this very thing which we are all seeking already, but you cannot see through this as a person, and the person is the mask. Lisa is the person, and the belief that you're the physical body and you see through this through the sensory perceptions is what holds you to this material state. And to be able to see past that material state, you have to be born again. And to be born again is to remove all identity, to see in the eyes of a baby. They are open, they absorb, they see without judgment. And in that awareness, with the heightened intellectual, spiritual mind that is possible to be acquired, you are one with this universe, and you are everything and nothing. And there is a wonderful space that exists for everyone. This is the awareness of Christ. This is the Buddha. And this is going to happen to you. You just keep on climbing and taking your time. You're doing great.
Quite slowly, bud.
You're doing great. I've seen a massive change. You look really well. You look healthy. It's such a wonderful thing to have you with us.
Thanks. Okay, thank you, Josh. Thank you for your feedback.
Have a wonderful day. You look very well, sister.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Brother Justine, would you like to come in today?
Sure. Hello, everybody.
Good day.
Good day. Blessed to be here as usual. I have a few questions actually. We did talk a few strongs ago about the Baphomet, right?
Yeah.
And also the Freemasonry and how this figure is essential in the Freemason. Freemasonry. And also you and me had a private let's say conversation on
Madame
Blavatsky, right?
Yeah.
So I was going around about my day the other day, and suddenly my phone starts making noises. It's often does, and I take it up and it's YouTube playing a video, right? So it was actually a guy called Alan Pittman. He's an esoteric teacher, also a bodyguard of Dalai Lama. No, but he was talking about Madame Blavatsky and her influence on the whole, esoteric movement, let's say, and how she influenced other people. So definitely she's a very good person who wanted to spread goodness. So I'm confused, about, because you also mentioned before that Aleister Crowley is also portrayed as an evil person, but he's not. I have no problem, because everything seems to be turned upside down. So that somebody who's good is portrayed to be evil is not a big surprise. But about Freemasonry, and I probably many here have seen the movie or the documentary about this, or some of it maybe, this Altian child. It's 5 hours where he's talking about Freemasonry, and it seems he links to documentation and everything, so it seems, let's say, legit. But how is this? How come some people have portrayed to be or maybe they are major persons in this Freemason movement, and then some obviously are evil. I saw a documentary called In the Shadow of Hermes about communism, and under Lenin and Stalin and all this. It was horrible. I cried 2 hours. But definitely there are bad Freemasons. I know you said there's nothing good or nothing bad, but I need some clarification if you can provide me.
Yeah, so initially, or always, Freemasonry has always been set out to a kind of philosophy that is helping one free themselves from the boundaries of samsara, the cycle of birth, life, and death, and how we do it virtuously, and how the science, religion, and the true nature of spirituality merge together to this one wonderful science. It's really for the adept and for the true seekers of wisdom. But as there is good, there would be a mask of bad, which would be created as almost a insertion from example like the CIA. They are the central intelligence agency, so they create intellect or intelligence. So it's posted out there to create the fragmented mind or perception on what truly is, unless one is a true seeker. So if one is a true seeker, rather than reading the hearsay or the untruths that's being spread from other beings, it would be looking into the true nature of the Freemasonry and what it's actually about to understand it. Like the book Morals and Dogma from General Albert Pike. Morals and dogma. Dogma backwards is am God, and morals to live in a moralistic way. You know, is to live by the highest virtue. Is to love thy neighbor, to love thy enemy, to be self-servant and sacrifice yourself. But it really is a real path for the intellectual seeker to be able to find his way and merge to the spiritual nature. So it is a true masterful religion of all the ancient religions. And I would say that the perception of the bad, it has been created to elude a certain level of seeker by purpose. And you'll see that a certain level of seeker is not necessarily going into the depths of Freemasonry, but reading scattered information that is not necessarily of source. Now, they say, you know, they're not worship, but they know Lucifer is this light bearer. Now, the modern day world thinks Lucifer is the devil. The devil is nothing but a perception, the evil. It's the form of evil. Anything evil is a devil as such. Even thinking in a bad way is a devil inside the mind. But Lucifer, the language that I discovered reveals these truths. As we know, the L of is the root word for God, okay? And we talk about the two levels with the AL and the EL within this language, but Lucifer is LU cipher. The cipher, which is the code for your L, for you to merge with this Godhead. Now, as you progress through the levels of awareness, when one surpasses a very high level, you'll actually come to a space where there's an angelic realm. And this deity or this energy, Lucifer, which holds the light, once you reach this level, the body cannot really sustain its own life. There's too much charge going through this body, so the body has to be dropped at this stage. But going through the levels of Freemasonry will take you to the necessary realms that you need to be to proceed to the next. There is nothing but real great gnosis if one is truly seeking. Madame Blavatsky as well, you know, she was how could I say this? She brought to the Western world the true union of all religions, and presented it in a way which is now a cult. She was very good friends with Aleister Crowley. They spent a lot of time together. And all they were doing was working on the true geometry, mathematics, the movement of the mother, nature, and bringing the true science with the most hidden occult knowledge to be applied within the body. And this is what we're doing here. We've translated the truth instead of hiding it, and just presenting it in a way that is applicable. You know, having a true understanding of what life is, and then allowing one to see the energy and allow one to being moving past it, and then utilizing the function of the body, and then increasing the body's capacity and charge slowly as it builds its own awareness up, freeing your awareness that's trapped within the cells of the body. You know, there is so much more available to people. This plane here is just one of infinite dimensions. We are here to be able to free ourselves and experience the infinite dimensions that exist beyond this as pure awareness. That is a key. if you've never heard of NOS, NOS, which is sun backwards, Freemason, the Book of Resurrection, have a look into that as well. And remember that the esoteric knowledge, there's exoteric, which is what the Western world have been taught. And esoteric knowledge is what true Jewish people were taught in their schools, you know. A true Jewish school teaches flat earth. But again, the only thing relative is your experience that you're having. So you've been born into a family perfect for your karmic value previous. Now, the previous life that you've had and experiences that brought you to this point, and they're not necessary to even worry about, because everything that you are experiencing now is due to the previous karma. The karma is the actions that we take. So once we raise our awareness, if we apply the actions that we know through the virtues, being diligent, you know, for an example, then we continue to experience a pain-free life without suffering and constant progression with our energy, life force, and function. We can stay playing, we can get lost in play, we can get lost in mind, matter, but truly that doesn't matter. The only thing that truly matters is increasing the awareness to transcend, to move forward, to progress. And our body itself is a wonderful tool that's capable of holding a certain charge, which is the 144,000, which comes into being when you activate this magnetic light, this magnetic charge. Right now, there's an electrical alpha wave that needs the etherical Z wave, the longitudinal wave. And when those two connect through the divine workings of this synchronicity that we have with the embodiment of virtues, which is what we're teaching, you know, if one is truly loving, they would be a master at all virtue. To love in the mind is only a trap, because love is what you are, but that is what you are without perception, without residue, without experiential baggage, attachments, identity. And this can be found in any given moment once one truly surrenders all to this existence, life, the creation. But this is all Freemasonry is truly offering. Police and government officials and these people here have assigned themselves with another identity, or called the Freemasons. But as you know, there's two, I don't know if you know, but there's two councils in every city. In England, say there's the City of London and London City, and you'll see there's one that works for you and one that works against you. And it's the same in all walks of life. Just because the pusher of the agenda of Freemasonry to be bad is the most searchable, easy find that you can see out there, it's going to be a spreader of hearsay and untruths. The true seeker will only find it. And that's why it's so important. It's perfect. Because if we believe other people, then we're not truly seeking, which then that gate or the key is still not handed to you. So then a perception is built up that makes us perceive or have an opinion based on untruth. So it's a block from the truth. And we only find the truth when we truly seek the truth. And it's all in levels. So even in believing the opinion of someone else, if one truly keeps on seeking, they'll raise and elevate past that being. But you'll notice that the people that you're cross with who are speaking these things will stay on those things. They won't be broad range. They won't be speaking about all of the elements. They won't be speaking about all the truth. It will be trying to disprove or prove something and repeating it for such a period of time. And they're stuck on that themselves. And the reason why they're sharing this is because they don't truly know, and they're searching for someone to come and share that experience with them and try and help them move past it. It's like we've all been, well, at some stage, we've all seen the 5-pointed star and we think it's evil, especially if it's pointing down. You know, and the 5-pointed star is the Holy Trinity, the golden ratio, which is the Fibonacci sequence, or the phi. Phi is the phi cycle. And it's just the golden ratio triangle in 3 directions. And pointing down is the only true way for nature. If it's pointing up, it's against nature. We're going to be explaining all these things over time. But we've got so many great things coming into being that it's just, it's been quite difficult as we've been moving forward on this journey. But I hope that clears it up. You know, Freemasonry is freeing the mother's sun. You are the sun, the sine wave on. That's projected from Ra.
So Freemasonry is good.
True Freemasonry is
True
good.
Freemasonry is good.
People's beliefs in whatever they choose to believe, and it's not because someone is a Freemason and we projected that they're bad. The only true Freemason is somebody that's truly seeking source light. Somebody that's truly seeking liberation is a Freemason. You can label anyone or anything, but it doesn't mean it is what it is.
But then somebody has to have kind of hijacked the movement, right? Also thinking about
on the internet, every book, the whole of every single text that ever had value has been changed. Every bit on the internet is mostly hearsay and untruth. You search for fruit, it tells you it's bad. You search anything about protein, it tells you that when you're vegan, you need to eat beans, you need to eat nuts. You know, rice is a great staple.
yeah.
You know?
Okay. But going back to this, let's say, like I mentioned before, Lenin, Stalin, all these communists killed millions of people, right? Also, they were apparently, Churchill was like portrayed to be a very good guy. He's definitely not. Good friends with these guys, and they were allegedly Freemasons.
Yeah.
Or yeah, right. So then the bad.
But they truly weren't Freemasons because they didn't seek the light. As the label speaks itself, you know, one who's truly a Freemason is like a philosopher. You could join a philosophy club, but yeah, you know, you have no interest. You just want to be a part of the club. You could join university and drink it away.
Yeah, I just guess where it gets confusing is that, you know, in some instances, Freemasons, or most instances, Freemasons is said to be like a secret society of people who want to rule the world. And
if you join or look at a Freemason website that still exists today, it says anyone is welcome. And you know, they're all compartmentalized to do with people's level of awareness, and the bad people tend to stay at the bottom. You must remember, it's all corporate, it's all a business. So even these Churchill guys, they had to abide to someone else's ruling. They weren't truly the ones in true power. They were the ones that had the illusion of power through the media. And we can get fixated on these things, but we must remember, if we're looking for the holistic truth, that everything itself is working through consent. People that choose to go to war have chosen to go to war, and if they didn't know better and they still went because they believed they had to, it was part of the karmic value that they had inside their awareness. That was necessary for them at that particular time. So the world is functioning on such a perfect level as everything is connected to consciousness, everything is conscious. We get fixated through our identity on these stories, and then we try, the intellectual mind wants to try to fathom them, but really truly feeding the intellectual mind past a certain level, it will take you away from the true truth or the true goal. you'll find probably searching these things slight suffering. A mind will try to continue to tear things apart, and in doing so, you'll find that your temples on either side of your head and maybe your forehead are hurt. If you get this pain, this is blocked by illusion. This is an energy center block via the intellectual mind. We need to free ourselves past all of these things. But again, where you're at and where you're searching is not necessarily a bad thing, because it's leading you to a space to evolve past these things. Because once you understand the whole system that's been put in front of you, you'll know that you need to rise past this system. You need to go inside of yourself to free yourself, which is what the true Freemasonries are teaching. You pick up the book from a Freemason or a master that's created scripture, and you try to read it, and you'll see it's all about love. It's all about union with the Godhead. It's all about being the highest being you can be. And anyone else that has created a belief on something, we know it's a lie, because it's a belief. It's not the truth. And only the truth that will set you free. And it's in you. This is the uni verse. This is in you. Uni backwards is in you. No one else can free you. Only you can do it. The impossible is impossible, and the limitless capabilities you have are only limited by your perception. If you seek love, you'll find it. If you seek deceit and lies, you'll find it. It's just the main truther community is uncovering lies and deceit. But that's there for one to go, right, okay, I can see this very quickly now. I can see that everything's a lie. So let me point towards the truth. And then the truth will just redirect itself to the internal work. If you're a capacitor, you hold a charge. Your energy, your frequency, and your vibration is set by the function of the mind, body, and spirit. As you elevate that, your frequency, your charge increases. You start to have a higher, you see clearer. As you see clearer, you gain more perception. As you gain more perception, the awareness expands. As you expand, you create new senses. This is why we say, does it make sense? Because we're truly making senses. Our interactions with the lower energies and the lower beings on the lower consciousness keeps us as well. And this is why when we're alone, we're all one, because we become in union with this space within ourselves. You know, the words solitary, solution, isolation, this is the soul. And we know that we're here to reconnect with our soul. The soul is the source. So your C, ether. This is the EL, the blue shift. We are a magnetic field waiting to happen. Lost in space, searching for something which is already inside of us. And when we stop to search, we can truly do the real work, which is the great work. And that great work will expand us. There is no better computer game. There is nothing better than actually having the inner workings in the vehicle itself to be able to keep climbing. And you have to go through these things yourself. I couldn't sit here and tell you exactly what is possible, because these people end up in, mental homes or things as such. To be able to bring the work, what we have to share, we have to remain limited in what we speak of, because it allows it to reach a broader type of being. And you just continue to do the work slow and steady, and it will be time. But if you truly put your efforts towards this, then you'll see that within a matter of 1 to 2 years, the previous lives that you existed or believed that were there, they're not there. A mind state will keep you in a working life. And when you liberate oneself, there's no need for work, because life will always look after you. But again, the fear of letting go is causing that causality of that life to express itself for the necessary need to be in work, because the lack of faith, that vibration that you feel with fear is actually the frequency generated to your experience. In this moment, there is no need for fear. There is no need for worry. There is no need for thought. There's just observation. And in that observation, clarity comes. You find this space through contemplation, not thinking. Thinking is automatic, and contemplation is through your will. And as you contemplate on what your awareness is, you sort the inner workings of your mind out. See on template, you put it out there, as Nikola Tesla did with his works. These things come to us. You do not need to search. You just need to allow them to come into being. That's the key. It's handed to you.
Mm. Well, I feel I'm having quite success in not thinking, as I mentioned before. It's just sometimes if it's like this Freemason thing, I find it interesting, and
Yes.
I wish to understand or and know what really happened, what's it really all about. Not that I'm have a desperately need to know, but it's just it's interesting.
There's definitely a need for one to seek intellectually. And I would say that in your searchings, always pick up the root or origin of Freemasonry, the true writings, and in them you'll see the beauty of it. That's why I suggest, morals and dogma itself. Don't get lost in the objective, illusory words of Lucifer, the black sun, and what people believe. It's all about you. It's all about your thought forms, the demons, the energies that exist that try to attach themselves to your mind. But you must mind out. You must remove the mind and its function. Thinkingness does not serve you. The interpretation of your daily life is not what you need. This thing must be surrendered. The evolution is now, and we evolve past thinkingness. This is an automatic response as a protective mechanism for the five senses. It's the animal inside of you, the reactive nature that doesn't need your conscious awareness. But to evolve past it, you must become conscious of things, slow and steady.
So moral. Okay, sorry.
I was going to say, even going one way to the extreme, you start seeking spirituality over spirituality without bringing balance. You're going one way or the other. It's about being centered and noticing the functions of the mind and bringing it in and controlling it. If it's excessively thinking about something, you can see that you start to be aware of the mind, and you change the way that it is. And having control over the mind, I would say, is related to training your dragon. And then you become balanced. And as you become in that balanced state, you progress and you become more aware of the other functions. And you continually work your way through your vibratory nature.
I'll try to do that.
He who governs himself virtuously will be like the pole star, yeah. And your body will be filled with light. This is why the virtues are so key. You embody these virtues to the highest capacity, and you will become free. The nature of patience, to be patient, is to have no anger. To be the opposite of patience in sin is the wrath or the anger. This only comes with the interpretation of a moment or an expectation that you have previously programmed by the mind. Because without the expectation of an experience, how could you get angry? You can't. That is a demon. That needs to be exercised. That needs your contemplation, your meditation. To be diligent is to create the experiences that you need to and know what you need to do for that experience to come into being. The opposite of diligence is sloth. And if you're a sloth, the experiences you wish to move towards into will never happen. And it goes on.
This is kind of a part where you have to, like I said, by taking no thought and not, you know, I'm just trusting that what will happen when it's meant to happen. And then you have periods where it's nothing happening. You can start thinking if you're a sloth or if you're just waiting. But things happen, even if there are some slow periods.
Yeah.
Then things, you know, evolve and opens up.
Yeah.
So
Even noticing the mind thinking about something not happening, that is a form of awareness that will take you higher. Because how do you know nothing's happening? Is the mind just telling you something's not happening because it's bored? And boredom, does that come from what? The pattern of thinking. Because you cannot be bored in this present moment. The mind wants to take you to a space that creates emotional content. You know, overcoming emotions and overcoming thinking is what will take you higher, higher and higher. That's the alchemy. That's the true alchemy. And what we search for will take us to this point. And that's why the virtues are the highest form of awareness that you can use to build your temple, because if you study them and you act upon them, you'll see that everything inside of you is blocked by the energy of previous interpretations, beliefs, from what you've accumulated through your life experience. If you've never driven down a motorway in a traffic jam before, you wouldn't be impatient, you'd be observing because you don't know what's going to happen. And that's why to be born again is to have no expectation of any experience. There's no judgment, because in that space, there's freedom. We trap ourselves in thinkingness, we must surrender the moment. And by surrendering the moment, it means no interpretation, no judgment, no mind coming into play. Because it's the mind that creates all the suffering. You cannot suffer without the mind. It's a concept world, and these concepts, they hold you from your freedom. You enslave yourself in the mind. That makes sense.
That makes sense.
You may have momentary suffering within a pain body experience, but then to live that or to think about that will create suffering down the line. But even if you surrender that pain in the moment, you still find freedom from the pain. It's all about the mind. It's all about freeing yourself from this ego, the EL, the ether, ego. Even the book Goetia that was written by Aleister Crowley. The way that I first ever seen the word Goetia, my mind picks words up, flips them, and sees different ways, and it spells this ego.
How do you spell that? Goetia?
Goetia.
Okay.
And it's an ego.
Okay.
Numbers and letters, they'll be your freedom as well. See, you'll know that each word is an interpretation of the truth. And, you know, soon we're going to have time. And these language lessons will be here, and they'll be quite easily grasped. And I'm sure that everyone's truly seeking will be able to pick up a word and see the truth within inside the word. But the inner work needs to be done. The intellectual mind is your final trap. You keep feeding it and feeding it with knowledge. This knowledge becomes applicable, and you cannot action these things with knowledge. You have to really change the way the mind is functioning. Ego hides behind the intellect, and constant surrender and acceptance, I would say, is a key. You accept life and you surrender the mind. Accept life as if you have created it yourself, and then you will know that.
Okay, I've taken enough time. I have just one more question, though. I hope it's a short answer. I was searching, as I often do, sorry. And I found that the carbon of the atom of carbon,
Yes.
we are carbon based, right?
Yes.
Is 6 neutrons, 6 protons, 6 electrons. So it's 666.
Yes.
Is that related to the 666 in any way? Also,
yeah. 666 in the Bible is the mark of the man. Is that related to our electrons, our protons and neutrons, the atom or the magnetic field?
So it's directly related.
Of course. This is the carbon, car being carrier. Carrier is car, and bon is good, is a good carrier. It carries life. And everything inside of this is related to the 666. You're in the beast system. It just means be east. Aries begins in the east. Freemasonry starts in the east. East is just E and A, ST, which is the E and A. Same way with the physical, which is the alpha and the ether, the red and the blue shift. It's all to do with magnetism. Your body is magnetic. The magnetic is the Margi net IC, and the magic is the Margi IC. The magic comes from the magnetic body. When you can truly control the magnetism flow, you can truly become the magician. And it's all to do with that. If you see the 666, okay, it's the Star of David as well. You have 6 points, 6 lines, 6 triangles. And that's a symbol of the man. Taurus is the true atom. And as you said, all is atom, all is Taurus, related within the commercial teaching world is as atoms. Atom backwards is mata, which is the mother in Sanskrit. And the key is the mother, the M, other. M is 13, again, another number that we have been told is bad. But 13 is the true center that we should see and enter. So the M other is the middle lover, and this middle lover lies within each and every one of us. You bring in the EL, the blue shift, or the other shift, the spiritual side of your creation and balance, you create light, and we live on this light lane, the plane. Light lane in physical is the P lane T, the planet. It's all directed to magnetism. All is atom, all is magnetism.
So you agree with Santos in that all is atom.
It has to be. There is no other force than this magnetic field, this dielectric. The space, if you truly know the magnetic field and the way that it works, it's just pressure mediation and expresses itself in all walks of life. That's how you will know everything. You will know everything intellectually, and if you merge that as well with the spiritual side, you have a powerful mind that can truly see the whole workings of creation. That's why the language is so sweet. when you know creation, because creation is to create ions. Ions are the positive, negative, neutral charges, and the creator is it creates toruses. The torus is TOR, the physical void of full magnetism, and to create is CR, which is seeing the full magnetic ENA in the physical. And these ENA is the video that we did on just the ENA, and yet we haven't done any other letters very much. So
looking forward to the website and all the hieroglyphics of the English language and everything. So, but other people have questions, so I'm gonna back off.
Don't think searching's bad. Don't think I'm saying that at all. Just know that all I'm trying to do is point you so that you spend less time on the hearsay and more time in the true books.
Yeah.
And
please give me some morals. You mentioned morals and dogma regarding maybe
big book. That'll take you some time. And if you look at Boeotia, yeah, and you know, there's something called the Book of the Law that Aleister Crowley wrote.
Book of the Law.
Yeah, it's quite hard to interpret if one hasn't necessarily acquired the need or the type of language it uses, but give it time. And if you study magnetism, if no one has spent much time on it, the Ken Wheeler knows a lot about magnetism. Theory Hypothesis is his YouTube channel. I would say, just watch his magnetic videos. He's kind of trapped intellectually, so it's lacking a bit of spirit. But you'll find great.
I've seen some things from him. It's interesting.
Keep watching it. I mean, until you truly understand it. Don't spend 5-10 hours. I would say 200 hours, maybe 150 hours of seeing what magnetism truly is will serve you so much in growing to see what life is really. And that is the atom, or the magnetic field, or the 666. And it all is so tied into everything, my brother. 666, 6 times 6 times 6 is 216. This is the age of Aquarius that we're in now on an astrological chart, the degrees. But we've got so much stuff to share, so we'll be able to bring this to everyone so they can see it, study it on our website. So everything's set up on the website, it's all ready. It's just literally, I'm just awaiting the launch, which we're hoping is going to be by the 1st. And then we're going to continue to get this information up on there. So until then, we've got great things happening. So.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Jonas. Thank you, everybody, for your patience. It always takes more time than I want to, but it is what it is.
It is very hard to describe certain things in such a short way. So
I understand completely.
Have a wonderful day, brother.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Sister Silvana G, we'll go to you because you're a different time zone. How are you, sister? Welcome. It's a pleasure to have you and see you with us.
Hello.
Good day, sister. Yes.
Good day. I've missed you guys so much. Hi, everybody.
We've missed you.
Donna, Dhirti, Shanti, everybody.
Yeah.
Bonnie, all the old people that I know. So many new ones too. Hi, everyone. Much love.
Such a pleasure to have you, sister.
I wanted to ask you, with memory and fogginess in like, yeah, I'm having difficulty with short-term memory. I don't know what it could be from. Like, I hope it's not old age and and I can fix this up. Do you have any suggestions, please?
Yeah, I mean, you know, within the wisdom of Hermeticism, they have great memory games and teachings. But what can I ask? Are you smoking cannabis at the moment, or still?
Off and on. I have had battles with it because I've kind of abused it. I used to smoke it way too much.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah.
would say that how are you coming off of it and how are you treating it on your abstinence? Because this will have a massive role on your short-term memory, but it won't last. So have you been taking like 20 days off and going back on, or?
Yes, like now it's been like 2 weeks I haven't had, and then I have it for about a week, a few weeks, maybe a month, but you know, like the longest I haven't had it would be about 9 months or something like that, off and on.
How recent is this mind, the noticeable short-term memory loss? Was it kind of
Well,
recent?
yeah, I'm noticing it a little bit more, and then sometimes I feel like I'm onto it, like I'm not having problems with my
Is that when you
memory.
start smoking again?
Pardon?
Is that when you start smoking again?
When I smoke, I think I do get more clarity. Hey, when I'm
Yeah.
not smoking, it
So
goes the
I would
opposite.
say, you know, if you've had long-term use of it and you abstain, if you're abstaining, say, for 20-day periods or maybe 14-day periods, that you're going to be lacking in so many endocannabinoids and not having really any true connection to your short-term memory that you may seem like you can't even think or connect to what a strawberry would be called. Is that kind of what's happening? You're seeing objects and you can't think of the words.
No, it's more like I put something down, and maybe seconds later I don't know where it is. Like where did I put it? Where is it gone? Like,
So could you correlate this with the abstinence from cannabis? Because this will definitely happen if you're going through even maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 days of not smoking after extended use.
I need
You're
to
on
pay
the
more
cannabinoid
attention.
system, the CB1 and CB2 receptors in the gut and all through the body and the brain. These are obviously not being created with inside the body because it hasn't needed to, because you've been putting them in. So it would be at least, I would say, 30 days before the body starts to truly make them. So you're going to experience all of these things until you've surpassed the 30-day mark. So if you're not going beyond 30 days, then you're cycling maybe 7 days here and there, you're going to notice a significant, I would say, pain body response, lack of function. And if you're looking for that clarity now, you may be evolving past the use of it, because even though it brings you to a space of meditation or a space of stillness, it's a false stillness. And there will be a stage in your evolution that it would be time to come off, to be able to embrace the now fully. And it may be your time. If your consciousness is playing with stopping it and going off and on, you know, long-term use can be very, very difficult. I would say that you could replace it with chamomile, even as a herbal smoke, and that will help the mind settle down. It's a slight, tiny bit of a narcotic, so it will help remedy sleep as well, but it also allow you to move away from it without too much mind play.
Did you say chamomile?
Yeah. Even getting the organic tea bags and, you know, utilizing the herb inside, and lavender is also another good one. It's just it's a great thing to get you off of it. You know, I do rate cannabis, especially if it's a great heirloom plant, but for your evolution spiritually, you know, it would need to be transcended to progress to the higher space.
And would that be smoking it, oil, or all of it, or?
Cannabis or chamomile?
Yes.
Yeah, especially for an extended period. You know, I would say you have to do a 30-day period for the body's endocannabinoids to start coming back in. And you 100% will experience through day 2 to 5 insomnia, and then maybe day 7 you'll start to have sleep again. But that's why I think, you know, chamomile might serve you, because it's probably gonna be able to provide what you need to that time, but also allow the time away so the endocannabinoids can start producing themselves. It's a hard thing to do, and the body's receptors will be empty. And then, you know, you just smoke again, and after like 1 or 2, maybe 3 days, your mind starts to feel like it's functioning again. But you're not truly having that long-term, short-term memory balance, because cannabis is known for the short-term memory loss. But in its absence, it's just so difficult to connect with the memory.
Right. Another one. When I do the juice, I get like heart cramps. I thought at first it was pears, due to pears, but now I'm just having apple with the orange juice, and I don't think I get it with the orange juice, but all the other fruits, it seems like I get like a strong chesty pain, and I drink really slow as well. I thought first maybe it could be because I'm drinking too much at once, but then I'm taking small slow sips. That seems to help a little bit, but still after I finished the juice I get this chesty pain. So
Like palpitation, or
I don't know. I'm questioning, could it have something to do with the sugar? But I don't know. It's not palpitations. It's just like tight.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it feels like it's like heart.
Around the chest, like the center there. Yeah, and then it goes away. So I just think, or okay, maybe it's a body freeze, like a brain freeze. I don't know, something like that.
Yeah. Does it happen every time?
Today it didn't happen. No, I've had like a couple, 2 juices today. No, it didn't happen.
I wouldn't say it
But
was anything to really worry about, because I trust so much in the fruits healing and doing what they should be doing. It may just be a necessary part of the body doing some healing for you.
okay.
But I wouldn't worry about consuming the living fruits in their juice form. What's your diet like other than that? Are you eating well?
I'm working on the transitioning away from the legumes and things like that. I'm on, it'll be the last lentils that I have. Yeah, I did go a bit naughty and had a, a pizza with some cheese on it. So yeah, and I did feel the yuckiness in my stomach and that. So because
Yeah.
pizza used to be my favorite before I gave it up, and I think it was because of the cheese addiction.
Yeah.
So,
Another
yeah,
one.
but
Cheese
yeah,
is a big addiction to most people, and it's usually the last thing that they cut out for the dairy products anyway. But
yeah,
yeah,
no, I haven't been
sorry.
eating it at all until I did the pizza yesterday. So yeah, yeah.
Well, you're doing great, and it doesn't matter that you do things like that, because it just shows you exactly where you are and how far you've come. So, you know, just keep doing what you're doing, and I can assure you, if you're willing to challenge it, then your mind will come back and it will function so much better than you're aware of, and your dreams and everything, and you'll probably be able to interact with them a lot more in your new heightened awareness that you've come to.
Yeah, yeah, thanks.
How's the fruits? Are you in winter right now?
Yes, it's cold here. It's like 2 in the morning at the moment, actually.
Thanks for staying up to be with us.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. You guys are my family. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah. If you need any support going through it as well, and just you know, just message us all the time. It can be difficult coming off that from long term. Are you looking to possibly stop it, or are you going to just coast through it? And because I wouldn't recommend coming off and you know, for extended periods. It might be good to have a day off here and there, but to go past a few days period of it, you're going to experience, you know, the insomnia and memory loss and things like that.
What are you talking about? The cannabis?
Yeah.
Yes, yes. Well, it's been like what I'm going on the second week now without it.
Wow.
And
Okay. Yeah. So you will be experiencing some severe memory, how just lack of connection to memory right now. This is totally normal.
yeah, it's actually improving more now. I'm feeling like
Good.
I'm 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 working with it. I'm working not to be forgetful. I'm working to keep remembering. So it's like I'm onto it, so to speak.
Good.
Just like just like I'm onto all these vices that's inside of me as well. I know that,
That's,
and I catch them.
yeah.
And it's like I know you're there and you're not welcome, and I'm on to you, and so yeah.
Wow, that's wonderful.
So
Oh,
that's a bit of an improvement there. But I do have quite a few vices which I am aware of, and yeah, it's not easy, but hopefully we'll make it through.
yeah. Just remember that this here for you. Any period is accessible by just, you know, accepting what's happening and surrendering it all to this moment, looking around and truly focusing on observing what's around you, and those things will just leave quite quickly. And then you just have to constantly, you know, live by virtue and progress. And as you do, this body itself will become free, and the mind will leave you. And there's accessible dimensions again, as we spoke of earlier, that are available to you. And life will, you know, be interactive with you, and such a game that your life will never be the same.
Yes, actually, I'm happier than I've ever been quite a lot lately, and even though things are going haywire all over the place,
Yeah,
inside is a beautiful feeling. It's a beautiful feeling inside, and I'm so grateful for it. Like,
that's
good to
amazing.
feel like this, you know.
Absolutely. It's, you know, I think acceptance is so key, and it makes us, you know, I'm sure that you're just accepting life as it comes to you. None of these things can bother you if you just accept them.
Yeah. Yes, we're doing our best.
Yeah, it's wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah, a couple more questions. One about salts. Like I know, like I don't know if you know, like Santos is also offering body salts. I think there's what 12 types of salts.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Like, what is your take on that?
For me, I would say that the body's lacking salts, and it's to do with the astrology and the time you were born or earthed. Um, and they are sort of a lack of firing or a lack of electrical signals within us, which gives us our traits. So for me, it's about connecting that ourselves via the physiology and our internal workings, which creates the joining and the charge within our system. Then it allows the current to flow. Salts, the word itself is like the sine wave of all the physical. But I would say, a deep knowing that these things don't need to be ingested externally. Um, these things are purposefully missed out from our system. So our system has a certain geometry that allows us to progress on the zodiac wheel as our experiences happen in life. And it's just, for me, it's a lack of signaling that we must find ourselves. But if anyone's looking to try it, then I would say go for the experience and see if it serves you or offers any benefit. And then, you'll truly know and embody that wisdom. For me, it's a bit like, you're in therapy, things like this.
For you, it's different.
Trying, but to get true remedy, I think the only way to do it is through the correct nutrition and removing the chemicals that we eat. And if we've got severe chronic diseases, we do the intermittent fasting, and then we have to have an extended water fast of pure distilled water with a negative charge. And there's no real other way. And then as we refeed ourselves, we build the good bacteria up, which remineralizes our body. And then we bring strength back to our system. There's truly, there's no other real way. We can megadose cannabis oil, we can use H2O2, and there are, true modalities that help kill these single cell pathogens and remove them from our system. I would say plasma being one of them. The plasma GANs and this Tesla ray serve, such amazing application for our body. But I'm sure very soon they'll become widely available for us all, and we can use these treatments. But for now, I think there's no better way than purification through the distillation process of food, juice, water, and you'll find freedom.
Yeah, cool. This is the last question. It's about you, travel. Where are you now?
I am just at the base of Spain, just past Malaga. We stopped for a few days in a campsite so we can catch up. We had to do some things for our website and another little mission that we've got going on right now. But we'll be speaking about that soon. So yeah, we're just at the base of Spain, just past Malaga. Weather's been incredible. Seas are beautiful and blue. We've been just driving down the coast, and today has been the only rainy day that we've had. Now it's just coming blue.
Okay, because you said you might be doing India, yeah, going to go up possibly.
That was previously, but some things have come into being, and there may be possibilities for us to be able to get assistance in traveling for the X family. So we're waiting for responses, and I'm just testing the water for that one. Hopefully we'll have a remedy for travel that we all can use without the hindrance of these invasive tests. And
yeah, because travel, I'm looking at like having a motorhome that could possibly fit in a shipping container. So I'm hoping that I could move that motorhome overseas as well. So yeah, I wanted to know a little bit more about that and how we could possibly do that without getting caught into the system and all these, the virus. Yeah. Yeah.
No, those things can be done. I don't know about your passport, but a British passport, it says that the Secretary of State is there appointed by the Queen to let one travel free and unhindered, and is there for protection as well. So I'm just trying the right avenues to see what we can do, because we don't want anyone to have to take these tests. It's ridiculous. And these vaccine passports that are coming in, the vaccines are not FDA approved, so they're out for emergency purposes, which means they are and can never be forced. So again, they never would be or could be, but it's just the illusion of the matrix and how it's manifesting itself through people's will and the want to go on holiday. And I think this year is a good time to make the moves with how easy it is to get these PCR tests done in a different way and get to the places you need to be. most airports there's someone selling them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it can be done, but just remember you're exactly where you need to be. Don't let life create any fear. If you go to an airport and you go to a flight, you can still refuse, and what's the worst thing that you do? You just continue being present in that moment and take life where it leads you. Nothing's ever set. They're not going to force you to take it, and there'll always be some sort of remedy, but you see how life will give it to you. Just trust in life.
Yeah. Thank you, Josh.
But we are working for these things, so I don't speak much of it because I don't want much before they can come into fruition. We're trying to sort out many things, so we'll let you know as soon as we hear anything back, and hopefully we can remedy all these things.
I can't wait to physically be with you guys. It'll be awesome.
Wonderful. Well, until then, sister, you stay strong and keep progressing and doing what you're doing, and well done for your abstinence.
Thank you so much. Much love, everybody.
Take care, sister, and thank you so much for being up at 2 a.m. to be with us.
Thank you for having me.
Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Sister Annie, great to see you. Welcome.
Hey there.
Good day, sister.
Nice to be back. It's been a while.
Nice to see you. How is you look like you've got a nice, wonderful tan. Where are you at the moment?
I'm in the US. I'm in Western Massachusetts on the East Coast.
Okay.
Northeast.
Sun shining?
Yeah, it's been really warm for the past 2 weeks, so I've gotten to be in the gardens and just blowing in that color. I wish I could see you.
Oh, I know my signal is so bad. If I do, it will probably give us a lot of problems today.
Fritz out.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I just wanted to say hi, and somehow I got the email this week. It's just been like touch and go. And some weeks I get the email for the calls, and some weeks I don't. I'm not sure why that's happening. So I'm glad to be able to join you guys again. It's been a long time. Wow, there's been a lot going on. Last time we spoke, I was coming out of a fast, and I've just been continuing with those, and just shaved my hair off. The whole experience has just taken me so deep, and I feel like very inner monk, and the hair coming off was like this kind of last piece for this phase for me. And it's been great to watch you guys and have the support too, so thank you for that. Let's see, I had some input, some questions. Just wanted to share a little bit, but I'll just start with a question. I'm curious what you know about turpentine and that whole use of turpentine. Hello? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, but Josh is muted, I think.
Oh. Josh, are you there? We can't hear you.
There we go. Sorry, my connection disconnected and then connected on the mute. Sorry about that. I was saying, have you had any experience with it, or is it something that's going around at the moment in sort of the health community?
No, it's something that I've been very curious about for a long time, because of where it comes from. It seems like it has a lot of power, and I've had friends who have worked with it, friends who have been doing the fasting and the fruiting, and we're still dealing with cravings, and they use this therapy and said that it really took things away, those cravings away, and it was not anything terrible. So I just didn't know if you had any experience. I was just curious to ask.
Yeah, I've never used it personally. But I was to say, if you were to use it, make sure it's such a clean, distilled, organic substance. But I presume, in very small doses, it would play a role in possibly helping clean the system. But personally, through my experience of all the therapies that have ever existed, there is no better therapy than the pure distilled water fasting that we need to work towards to clean the system. But for cravings, depending on what you're eating and what's being craved, I would say, to curb cravings, I would eat and make sure that I overfeed myself on the foods that I'm moving towards to stop me feeling hungry to go back to the foods I previously ate. If that's what you mean about the cravings as such, because then our bodies
I'm not having the cravings. It was more, I was just curious because they're using it and it's helping them with the cravings. So I didn't know if it would be helpful for anybody else. I'm eating raw fruit and some salad. So and I've been doing that now for like 3 months. So in between fasts. So I'm not dealing with those cravings because I'm not putting things in my body in between that I would create the craving.
I would say as well, if someone is on like a raw plant-based juice, smoothie, salads and these types of things, food, and they have just one cooked day, then the next day they're going to be very, very hungry as such, and then they'll get the cravings because as the food digests and sits within the stomach, you have this almost a void, and it feels like it needs to be full. So just keep overfeeding on the raw organic foods, and you'll find that they do surpass. But if you do indulge in cooked food, I would just suggest the next day to have a lot more food than you normally would have, because there will be intense hunger inside the stomach.
I see.
Yeah, but I truly have tried in most things and experienced them with many different people. There's no healing like the fruit. To say the turpentine, yes, from the tree, isn't it?
Yes.
It's not really handed or provided to us in a natural form. So we're bringing the hands of man, and I would say there's only one thing from the hands of man that it can really have that healing modality, and it's the cold plasma, the electricity. But the true, the plasma that is cold is pure life force, and that interacts in the body in such a way. That's what Tesla invented, that Tesla ray I speak of. And apart from that, I think nature itself, or our true nature modality of eating, is what we need to heal ourselves and to remove parasites and cure ourselves from real chronic diseases. It just has to be an extended water fast, but you have to work your way to it. You have to become accustomed to fasting. You have to prepare the body, and I wouldn't recommend just going straight onto a water fast. This is why it's great to go onto even the cooked whole foods, down to the raw foods, down to the smoothies and fruits, down to the juice, and then to the water, and then reintroduce fruits, because that fruit there will truly build up the beneficial bacteria inside the stomach, which then consumes the food inside the gut, which builds them and defecates the true minerals that we absorb in our system. And then we can remineralize ourselves and bring back the strength and nourishment and repair our body after we've healed and rendered the unwanted hosts that have been feeding on us and inside of us and on the food we've been putting in for such a long time.
Is there a way to, besides feeling wonderful, is there a way to know that your body is able to actually utilize the goodness that you're putting in it, that you've cleaned out enough that you're able to absorb these nutrients? Or is that just based on how you're feeling? Is it based on bowel movements?
I would say obviously, one, how you're feeling, because the energy exchange is happening. And two, if you look at the skin and you see your skin looking very hydrated, fresh, and you know, the skin itself is constantly regenerating and repairing, and on a daily basis, like hundreds of millions of cells. So that's a very good thing to be able to see how you're eating.
It's funny because I'm 41, and ever since I've been doing this, I'm running into people who know me and they're like, oh, you shaved your head, you look like 20 years younger. And people who don't know me are thinking I'm in my late 20s. So I think that means my skin is looking okay.
Yeah. And you go back to the bad food and you'll see in a very short period of time that the skin will look totally different. So your body's alive, you're feeling alive, and you know, everything that's going on internal, you know, our heart itself, even the depths of it, is regenerated every 7 years. So all of our organs, if we can maintain this health for 7 years, we'll have a full, fresh body full of living life.
That's beautiful. And then a comment on the cell salts, because I was into those for a while, and I really appreciate Santos's work. I'm actually going to Mexico to see the Charlie family and him in June, just to check out the area, because I'm looking to get somewhere warm as well. Nice. But the whole salt thing, it just feels like it's based on like a faulty system, like we're supposed to be in the womb longer, we're missing something when we're coming into the world. So it feels like it's built on the idea that we should have more than what we were given. So therefore, for me, it doesn't feel right. It's not right or wrong. It just doesn't resonate anymore. And just looking at it from that way, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I just feel like, you know, the way that we were born or earthed into this world is exactly as it should have been. But again, if you look at it in that way, if you're presented with this information, you're presented with this information in a perfect way. I don't see any significant change with them. I would say, again, as I said just a bit earlier, that these salts are the separation from an electromagnetic charge within inside of our body, which basically gives us our traits, the mind, the function, and how, you know, all these things are related to astrology. And we connect these things ourselves via the systems of, you know, virtues and true living, as we progress in our Dharma wheel as such. I think there is so much information out there on how to heal the body and how one can take something that's going to give them life, extend their life, or heal them. And most people, not all people, but most people are missing the true subject, the fruit.
Right, when you get really simple, you can just stay really simple.
Yeah, why, you know, even preparing a dinner, for example, you know, let's say you're cooking some food, you have to get out all your pots and pans, you have to chop, you have to prepare, it takes time, you have to wash up, you have to clean. These are all aspects. If you just look at it as a pain body experience, the separation, you have to toil. You know, when you move yourself away from the aspect of creation, you have all this suffering. This is why they invented dishwashers, and then dishwashers then are connected to a system of water, and they're having these toxic chemicals inside of them. And the simple thing is, you don't need any cutlery, you don't need any plates if you have a fruit. Your body itself is the same. If you have a fruit, it doesn't need anything else other than the systems that it has in play to be able to assimilate and use that food to bring healing. Any other food itself is bringing in the dishes, bringing in the soaps, bringing in these toxic cleaners that are going to sweep the body and stay in the body and want nourishment. And if they haven't got nourishment, they try to survive. And how do they do that? They eat you. And then this fungus itself, it will eat you in your heart, in your lungs, in your stomach, in your intestine, in your feet, in your mouth. in your brain, in your spine, in your bones, in your hands. And this is where this chronic disease comes from. The fruit is for you, it is the true source. It contains the glucose and the amino acids. The amino acids, amino acid. Why eat something secondary when you can go straight to the source itself? Everything in life should be easy. We're taught in Babylon the painful stuff because it's to become able again, to
Right.
enable ourselves. And even though it seems so simple, life should be simple. It shouldn't be hard.
Right. And that brings me to the next thing I was going to say. As far as traveling goes, you know, having to get, or us being told that we will have to get a test, you know, going from one country to another, I feel like this is just, it's just a perfect medium, you know, it's a perfect catalyst to get us a little bit more creative in our problem solving, or, you know, in our solution orientation.
Yeah.
And that's how I view every difficulty. It's a catalyst for something more creative. It's not like this or this. It's a middle way. There's another way. But
Absolutely.
coming into the space where we can receive, you know, and open up to more possibility, really requires, you know, that we've been doing that work, you know, that we're stepping out of that left brain ego mind and sitting with the mother and just being still. So I don't know, I've been thinking a lot about that, and I have a client who's a doctor, and I didn't know if there's someone in the community that could write up papers that looked legit, because all these papers just look legit. Like there isn't real, this is all like fake money, this is monopoly, you know. So is there anyone in the group that could maybe help in that way for people who want to travel? Or maybe we all know somebody individually who's has an understanding of what's actually going on and can create a document, you know.
Do you see you meant? Do you see your mind document?
Mhm.
Yeah, I would say it's definitely something that should be spoken about within our community. I'm very, very sure that that is something that the community has. So we will save it for maybe chatting. Should we talk about this after the recording in a minute when we finish the show?
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah. But it's again, as this is what we're trying to do right now, and we're almost at the space where we can bring it into fruition. When you're dealing with a corporation, for example, where the people are in America or they have Walmart, for example, it's like going into Walmart and asking them to change the way they operate. It's
Right.
not really ever going to happen. Let's say Walmart has shareholders that are a profit-making organization. So we had 1 million people in England in the town centre saying they didn't want to be a part of this COVID situation. But that's like going into the shop and saying, you know, you want them to wash the floors differently, or stop open later, these types of things. If those 1 million people, just for an example, we were able to get a voice and we were speaking to these millions of people, and we said, if you really want change, you need to boycott the services that you're using. So we have to create these services ourselves.
Right.
So if we got 100, say, pound off 1 million people, then that's 100 million pounds. And all we would need to do is to set up non-profit organizations. For an example, everybody's got to eat. So we could set up a non-profit organization
Right.
that imports food. We're just using the UK as an example because most of their food is imported. That everybody who was a part of that trust and donation got access to a non-profit food service that gave food at the original cost without profit. So that means instead of paying £8 for 6 mangoes, they're getting 10 mangoes for £2. And then these things happen for travel, these things happen for clothing. And then once you take profit out of the equation, this machine will serve no one and it will be rendered useless.
Mm-hmm. yeah, we're creating a new system and it makes the old systems obsolete. Who said
Because
that?
it's based on money and profit, it's only going to be continuing to, you know, feed one hand while taking away from the other. So, you know, this is what we're in the process of doing, is creating these non-profit spaces. And when the platform's ready, they're going to be heard by, you know, many people. And all we need to do is set up shop for non-profit. It's that simple. And even in that currency there, it's very simple. A jet that would take people, you know, say if it costs 30 million, even just to have a collective group of people that were a part of that trust to put in a certain amount of money, which wouldn't be a lot. So say we had 1 million people with £30 that created the money for the jet, but you say £100, so then you've also got that money, and then those 1 million people would be able to travel maybe a few times a year for free. With that service, you think, how could it be done? A plane could have 300 people, 2 flights a day, 600 people, 10 days, that's 6,000, 100 days, that's 600,000. In a year, that's nearly 2 million people that can actually fly. It's not that difficult, but these things need to start now, and over time, they do need to be created by, you know, the community that we have. And I think it's not far away from these things just being brought into fruition. And these times is what's bringing this forward. We have to move away from the profit.
Well, I think that's where we're all becoming of one mind, one heart. You know, we're centering through our diets and our meditations and in these ways first, because else you get a bunch of people together, that doesn't work out very well. But
yeah, of course,
when we're all alkalized, we're ready.
Yes, and it doesn't mean people won't get paid for their labor. It just means that the company itself doesn't make excess amounts of money. You know, it doesn't
Right.
make 20, 30 million, which is causing all the problems.
Right.
And, you know, the age that we're moving into is going to free up man from so many spaces. You know, we've got all these jobs that will be rendered useless. You know, all this paper shuffling, all this banking. We are going to be moving into a better space, and things are naturally happening organically. So yeah, we'll speak after about that. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that as something arises, you have all of these people out there who are also working against it, helping people move. It's just finding that space.
Yeah,
to work with.
definitely. And the last thing I just wanted to share was that I had, you know, I've just been so unhooked emotionally since I've been living in this way, which has been amazing, because I've just been drug around by my emotions my whole life.
Oh,
And
wow.
everything I've tried to do in my spiritual practice, you know, still, that was still such a big part. And it's not that I'm blank and I don't have emotions, it's that I'm not hooked all the time. And that feels, it's so liberating. It's been such a beautiful experience, but something did come up this week for me around my daughter's best friend, who is like a second daughter to me, and she's 12 and she loves our family and she's always over here. We live on the same street. She's been a part of my life for 7 years. You know, me and her mother are single moms, and we've raised our kids, you know, helped each other raise each other's daughters. And we've had some difficulties this past year because she's really believes in the COVID narrative and in her way, and I believe in a different one. So it's created a little bit of distance between us, and she decided that she was going to vaccinate her daughter this week. And so for me, being like second mom, and I've tried to like ask her if I can homeschool her daughter, and she won't let me do that either this past year because I homeschool. And so for me, that was a real hook. Like, it really got me. Like, it really pulled some stuff to the surface, and I had to really settle down and work with it in a way that I didn't expect would come up. But I just wanted to say that during that whole process and experience, it's been very enlightening for me to enter into being hooked in that way with the awareness that I have now, that this is all something I'm, creating and looking to work through, and to come into a neutral place where I could receive guidance, because her daughter called me in tears the next day. And I mean, I had called the mother and just really begged. I came from a place of vulnerability. I just was asking her to wait till she had more information and we could talk, and she wouldn't hear me out. So I had to let that go, and I had to go right back here. There was nothing I could do. I had no control. And I was like, if I don't say something, then I'm going to feel like I wasn't there for this girl. Her name's Amelia. And the next day she called me and she's like, they just got me with the shot. And my heart, like she's on FaceTime and she's like, my mother doesn't listen to me. And I'm begging not to get this shot. And they got this needle in my arm. And she says to me, she said, I know how you live. And I know that you think I'm going to be disconnected from other consciousnesses, higher consciousness. And I don't want to be. I want to be connected to the earth like you are. And wow. So I was like, I don't want to create more of that narrative for her. And I don't want her to be polarized in one way or the other. And I don't want to create more suffering in her mind. But yeah, she just spoke to all those things I think about, and I was lamenting over on her behalf and for myself. And so I told her we would work something out, and I got off the phone with her and went into meditation and was just shown a way to bring her back into her center and to bring myself back in first. And the earth just started speaking to me about how to use and work with the elements for her. And I ended up bringing her into the woods, and we had a ceremony with a fire and a waterfall and some stuff that I was led to do. And it was like, it brought in the voice that she had been suffocating. Her voice had been suffocated for years, and she got to sing and she got to scream and she got to speak her whole story into this water and take the water home and drink it for the next 3 days. And I wouldn't have had that experience had I tried to keep fighting. She wouldn't have had that experience if I didn't come back into center and find another way to create less suffering. Was really, I had to get clear on what my goal was, to create less suffering for her, not more. And so I share that story only because I know that these are trifling times. These are really difficult. And when we're watching family and people we love get the needle, and really commit themselves to this matrix in that way, and vowing in that way, it's really difficult. But our job is to know our vows and to really expand in these times. And that we feel the contraction, but that's just another opportunity for expansion. And these are just these labor pains. And I just felt like it was a really beautiful experience now. And she called me and she's like, I'm feeling so much better. She's like, I'm never going to let this go. I don't give this thing permission to take anything from me. It can't, and so she's speaking in a way where her mind has gotten retuned. And so it was a beautiful opportunity, and I'll just leave it, I guess, at that. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's so wonderful to hear. And even that experience has happened to us, gonna push her evolution of her own awareness. This is why it's so perfect in every moment. And as we grow in our awareness, we do learn that sometimes, even though everything is perfect and said at the perfect time, because it all is a part of consciousness, we're here for people that need us. If we push our awareness on for somebody that's not ready, it can cause a lot of dysfunction because it becomes a belief. All we can do and grow is learn to embody what we know is true, and just shed light on those who seek it. And that sounds like a perfect thing that happened to such a wonderful young girl. And, she's so lucky to have someone like you around her.
Yeah, and it was reciprocal because I received just as much. I received a lot of wisdom in that time. It wasn't like I was just giving to her, like the whole thing was just this, it was magnetism, it was just beautiful. So
sounds like you're having an incredible journey.
Yeah, I have been for so many years, but this period is it's all sweet. It's just amazing. It's really amazing. So yeah, thanks for the acknowledgement.
Incredible. Do you have any more questions?
I wrote down all that. Oh, carpenter bees, a real practical question for anybody. I created some karma for myself yesterday by plugging a hole where the carpenter bees are going into my house, and I can't sit on my porch because they come right into my face and they're buzzing right here and they're kicking me off my porch. And I felt like, okay, I have to block this hole up, and I used this spray foam, and I knew when I was doing it that I was like going against what I believed in doing, but I didn't know what else to do. Therefore, I did that. And today, I am having such a difficult time with what I did. And I still don't have another solution. So if anybody has a practical solution, I would love to hear it.
Oh, I know. They drilling into the house.
Yes, like lots of holes.
Wow. To be honest, I haven't had much experience with preventing carpenter bees. But I can say that, you know, within your mind, it may be good practice to know that the mind will be speaking up, and it's a good time to be able to transcend the mind in the way that its function is. Everything is energetic. And when you get to a certain level, you'll realize that even that what you did was a necessary thing to happen in the awareness of those bees and in your being at that particular time. To bring yourself to this pattern of thought, and to, even though it may sound difficult to hear, for those bees to be surrendered to our higher energy field, to then be brought back into a new energy field, is sometimes a part of karmic life for an energy form. And it just is a necessary form of evil, or a necessary form of something, because he's not labeling that is a process and needs to happen. Take your actions away from you and realize that everything is happening in a divine way, and surrender the mind, and use this as a tool to surrender the mind, rather than to fall trap to the mind about experiences from a belief pattern, even though the beliefs may be beautiful and kind. The ultimate truth is the mind needs to be surrendered here, and everything is energy. So even though something may perceive from the mind that has been hurt, it is as a chance for an evolution and expansion for all things. So in this moment, be still, see the mind and how it's pressuring you to attach to this content, and surrender it speaking to God, consciousness, this moment here. Nothing else can ever be. See this moment for what it is, and remove the mind and its functions. And if they creep in, you do the same. You surrender, and you continue to do so. Everything serves great purpose on a grand scheme of everything. It is our person's identity and beliefs which get in the way. We truly have no will but the will of God, as we are God. It's just the functions are happening and all is, but the mind itself is having this play. Mm-hmm. Without the mind, you'll see the beauty behind everything. Even closing a door is opening a new one.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, sister, for your stories and sharing and being with us today. Your love and support is so kind, and speak to you very soon. Have a wonderful day. D3, welcome. How are you today, sister? It's a pleasure to see you, and you have a wonderful top full of love.
Thank you. It's lovely to be here. Yeah, it's lovely to be here. Yeah, I'm actually very tired today, and so I have been resting, which I was resisting, but I have been resting, which has been good. It's interesting, the questions that have come before, because it kind of leads to like with Brother Justine was talking about, he talked about there was, you know, sloth and diligence and allowing and acceptance, and I wanted to, my question was really like around eating raw and dealing with stress, or I don't know, or too much. And so basically, so I had this, I think the last time I was on, I had this thing of going to, you know, start looking for land or to move from where I am so that I have more land to grow trees and vegetables and fruit bushes and things. And so I put my home on the market and things started to move really fast. I mean, really fast. It was it's like a flow. It was like I was caught, I was in a it just felt like there was a flow. So I was just going with it. But I feel like almost it felt like it was too fast. And it's kind of been like that for the last 2 weeks. And I think that's why today I'm just exhausted. I mean, I've been feeling really exhausted since yesterday, and I had a 2-hour nap before the call. So, which I feel much better for. And I just kind of, my feeling has been in it that, I don't know, that like, I feel that I was in the flow, and I feel like I was accepting as things came. And yet it felt exhausting. If that, does that make sense? So I'm wondering how do I, you know, what would have been more in balance to not feel so.
Do you think it was possible that the mind was accepting and surrendering rather than the true acceptance and surrendering of removing the mind?
I don't understand.
So
Understand.
the mind, say the identity of the mind in an awareness of intellect, will try to take you to a space to make you believe that you actually have surrendered and accepted the situation, while the mind is turning and still functioning, creating excessive function in the mind, causing tiredness. When to surrender and accept everything that was happening would be to let go of the mind and its functions, and to be fully immersed in that state of presence where no mind function is taking place, no assessing, no thinking, no judging, because it's a very difficult thing to do. It's not something that is very easy, and these things that are happening just need to be caught out. This is the ego on its journey, and you must catch every intricate part of it, and a part of it will try to mask itself as doing the purpose rather than the purpose just happening, removing itself and still being active of both, you know, two separate ends of the scale. But like I said, it will try.
You know, I appreciate I appreciate more what you're saying now. So I would say that I ebbed and flowed in that I had moments where I was just present, and I had moments where I thought I was surrendering, but I wasn't completely surrendering. In that, like, you know, I booked to see, like, I felt I have to find some properties to see this evening. So that was, the mind was in a bit of a panic. You got to find something because your house is going to get sold, and where are you going to live? And then when I was going to view the properties, a couple of them went before I got to view them. And I was, in that moment, I was just like, you know, it's fine. What's meant for you is going to come to you. You're never going to not receive what's meant for you. So if you don't see them, it's all right. You know, you're not meant to see them. It's fine. You know, just go for the next one that's on the list, you know? So I had, yeah, I suppose that's probably what it was. It was kind of very up and down in that. It was
Yeah.
like, and I think probably that's why I was so tired, because of just the sheer difference. You know, there were moments of just really,
Yeah.
and there were other moments of like, oh my God, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
You know, but within myself.
Yeah. That's
So,
good to see, though. If if you get to even experience glimpses of the surrender, and then the mind comes back in, you see the pain and stress that it causes, and then you just catch out the mind in its function slowly, and you just bring them back. It's not easy. It's not easy, and to be in that space that you're in is a very high level of awareness, to be able to be watching this function of the mind. But again, don't let the mind trick you into thinking that you have surrendered. It's to be like if you keep bringing yourself to the fact, just use the word born again. I have to be born again, and then picture a baby, and a baby's just looking around. You need to be in that state of awareness of just looking around, observing life and all that is happening without any of these judgments of the mind. If the mind comes in, you surrender the voice, you surrender the mind and its functions. You continue to look around and observe. That there would be the surrender, and what is presented to you will be life.
It's really interesting. It's what you just said is exactly what I wrote down when you said it to Justine, to be born again, and I put an asterisk because that's exactly what I felt from when you said to him. I thought and it was really interesting because the first 3 places that I saw were complete no-nos. I don't even know how they took the pictures, but like they were just complete no-nos. And I just had a really good feeling about the last one, but it was 45-minute drive from where the third one was. But I just had this feeling, and even though I was starting to feel physically tired, I was like, just drive. You're here now. Just drive. Just go see it.
Yeah.
And then when I was there, it was just like kind of you said. I was looking around, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is really nice. And then things unfolded that were completely unexpected, but were really good. If kind of yeah. And so
Life is good. It's the mind's interpretation to life that's not, and it causes all this suffering.
yeah, and it felt so good, even though the day had been. And I just thought, that's exactly what I thought, exactly what you said. Life is good. I mean, look at this was worth waiting for, and the vibration in the house that was there feels good. And I met the seller, and he's living there, and it felt good, and so it's been interesting. And then that was on Thursday, but I feel like, yeah, this up and down is what must have it's really worn me out to when this is actually probably this rarely happens, but and I'm not feeling it now, I think because I slept, but I can feel the outside of my aura gets frazzled. And it's like it's not as strong. And so like yesterday, someone got very angry as they were talking to me, and I just feel it all coming, and I have no the defense of my own energy body to protect me from that, or to keep it at bay, is not as strong. And I felt it coming, and I tried to say to her, I hear you, but she carried on. And then in the end, I surrendered. I just said to her, I just surrendered in the moment within myself. I thought, let it come. I know what's happening. I will recover from this. I will clear this. It will be fine. She needs to get it out. It's fine. And I happen to be here. And
what good practice you had yesterday.
Yeah. So, but it's a well, I had no choice, to be completely honest, Josh. When I'm in that place of when I'm so exhausted, I can't do anything else. And then she left, and I left that situation. And then when I walked out of the house, I cried, and that's my discharge, because it's too much was I just feel too much of it, or not too much. I mean, that's part of it's a gift for me as well. But in that, when I'm in that place of exhaustion, um, that's how it unfolds, and I've kind of learnt to let it, because it's just my being is just processing the overload, you know,
Yeah.
that came, and it's okay, you know. So, but my question was just really, is there anything I can do with my diet, or what I'm eating, to kind of help with to help I suppose, or is it just the fact that it's high and low, so it's exhausting, isn't it, just for anything to go from up to down to up to down? Is
It's going to be the just true focus on how the mind is operating and its functions, and surrendering that mind function to this very moment, which means focus again on being the baby that is born again without any objective interpretation, without no translation, without any of your previous memory coming into your being. You may think, you may know what's going to happen, which will then emote. You may have an expectation of what's going to happen, which will create disappointment or not, or a feeling. But now when you're getting to this purpose or this space that you're in, you're messing with your mind and it will continue to live and continue to make great aggravation, because the fact that you're aware of it now. And you must really go in strong with your focus here. Keep on surrendering. If you have a feeling, this feeling has only came from a thought. And where has that thought come from? Expectation of a situation, or if you see the way that the virtues are aligned for your day, then you may be able to learn from that lesson. Like the interaction with this lady, you may have been trying to share something which in your awareness seems to be true, but from her awareness it's not quite there, and she didn't seek it, so the energies were opposed. And then she identified, which because of her state of egoic identity, she reacted in such a way. Now that reaction would have been a test for you to, in that present moment, you have choices. You can physically, walk away. But the thing is, the reverberation inside your energy centers is where your focus or attention needs to be, because they're revealing to you where you're finding this trap in this interaction. So this interaction has actually manifested itself for you to be in a practice to be able to dissolve those internal emotions that are still existing within inside of you. We must overcome. If we're truly seeking this liberation, we need to become free from thinking and emotion. So all of those emotions that we're feeling, they may not have been strong as previously before because of your heightened level of awareness, but if they're still there as a form of residue, that if you do focus on them, you start to feel this intensity within inside of you. You have this time now to be able to keep shortening the survival of the mind and shortening the length of the emotions that happen until you become masterful of them. That's the real solution there. Food and everything that you're doing does play a role in bringing these things to awareness and allowing yourself higher connectivity to the body. But it is the mind that needs to be surrendered. Be that baby.
Yeah, no, that's yeah. And it's interesting what you said, because this morning in when I was meditating and I tuned in, I got told something very similar to what you just said, that in what I shared, I saw that it was uplifting and the words were really empowering and I felt it was liberating. But she saw the opposite.
Of
And what
course.
I told this morning was that these are just your points of attraction.
Yeah.
You saw something and that's your point of attraction, and that was her point of attraction. And And then I reflected back to how I responded to her, and I thought, well, I realized that how different we were vibrating, or the frequency. There was nothing I could say that she would hear me. So then I just listened. And then when she finished, she just looked at me, and then she walked away. So then I walked away, you know? And so I didn't, and I just thought this morning, I thought, well, okay, that was actually the best response in the moment I could give. You know, and actually, and getting the thing of the point of attraction this morning when I was tuned in, it was like, it can make complete sense to me, and it just literally dissolved it for me.
Yeah.
And what I also realized this morning was the trigger is very, and it's exactly what you just said, the residue thing that you said.
Yes.
It's like there is a residue of exactly the same behavior from the past, like through conditioning. And I also thought, I felt like I said to a friend of mine earlier today, I think it's like a gift what happened last night. And also that I was so exhausted that I just totally surrendered. There was no energy to try and do anything else.
Yeah.
And it's come to clear just a little bit more of this, what's left, you know, of the feeling of, you know, it's mixed up with wanting to please, wanting to be acknowledged, wanting to be liked, you know, it's all kind of together, and not wanting to be misunderstood, actually, is probably in a nutshell the right word. But yeah,
Do you need to be understood?
That's a very good question. That's a very good question.
Your ego wants you to be understood because you feel like that, not you, the ego with this intellect and the power of the intellect feels like it can serve someone else, and your perception is that the ego's perception is that it is higher than the other being's perception, but that perception is exactly for them and they must walk that walk. So the intellectual mind is obviously apparent there, and everything that happened to you was obviously growth. The way that you're explaining it is you're actually taking apart the functions of the mind, you're seeing each form of awareness that's inside of it. This is how we fall traps. See, a great thing for you to do right now that would be very difficult for the ego, would also serve a very great purpose, would just be, have you spoken to the lady yet?
No, it's interesting. I thought of speaking to her, but when I feel it, it feels like she's still in her
Ego. Don't worry about that. I would definitely recommend just trying to be in control of your let's say your energy centers. Try not to get the feeling of anxiety. Don't let it creep in. Try to be very present, be that baby, observe. Go and see her and say, you know what, I should have never really spoke about my views in such a way, and I'm sorry it created this situation. And just leave it at that. What that would do is obviously it'll free up you, but it'll put yourself in a space where you would call it embarrassment for the ego, which is bar, is the ESS, which is basically blocking the electromagnetic inside of your system of reciprocation, which is why you're feeling the reverberation. So, you know, it will put you in a space of freedom.
I actually did that yesterday, Josh. I said to when she came to me and she went with whatever she was saying, I said to her, it was not my intention for it to come across that way. I said, I'm sorry for how it's made you feel. And I said, you know, it just was never.
I'm just, because you're at such a point now. If you said to an ego, right, I'm sorry, it's how I made you feel, then they're gonna think how it made me feel. Now this one's telling me that it's made me feel this. How does she know I feel a certain way? Okay. You have to keep that free. You have to just be like, I'm sorry for the situation, how it aligned, and you know, like that, right? Because if you're saying how someone else feels, the ego there is still trying to dominate, say it's in a higher power, a higher position than someone else.
So to get the words right, just so that I've got it, so it's sorry for what has manifested. Sorry
Yeah,
for
just
what?
sorry for the situation, and I should never have done. You speak for yourself. See, the ego will hide and try to still speak for someone else. Like you'll say, "Oh, I see how you reacted," and then if you were in a relationship with your husband, or vice versa, wife, you would see that this would cause suffering and separation within the flow of love within that space, because you're still pushing your will, whether it be unknown, onto someone else, because you're saying you know how they're feeling. And for them, or an egoic mind, it can't fathom that someone else can actually feel that, which then creates a reactive response. And this is the subtleties of energy. This is how we have dialogue, and this is how we really truly learn to interact with the egos that exist externally, and to live really peacefully. It's great progression, and what a wonderful thing to see that you're going through right now. And I mean that with the highest love. It's incredible to see this is happening to you, because this happens to us all. And to truly get these tests, but to truly see how things are happening, and how all of these functions happen on an interactive level with energy rather than the physicality, you become a master of yourself and your experience.
So okay, so just to be clear on the words, because it's gonna, so that I can kind of practice, if that makes sense, so then it comes more easily. So you would say you're sorry for the situation, and
Yeah,
then it should never,
it's your part, just
yeah.
your part in this, your play, your part. It doesn't matter anything that they've done that caused, or some people say, what you said made me feel like this. There's none of these things. We all have to be empowered by our own issues and no one else's as such, and deal with them, because this frees us up from these experiences. These experiences won't manifest for much longer in your being, because you won't bring them to you. And you would see, you come to such a space that if this is happening, you just observing this with no emotion, and you're just seeing an entity get exacerbated in their energy field, getting angry, and it's quite strange. You just see, wow.
Yeah, well, that's kind of, first they didn't happen, and then when I just surrendered, that's what I saw, and then I could feel it coming, and I just let it happen, because there was nothing else. So I feel it was a gift to be so exhausted. Just one question, and then I'll finish, about the word sorry. So I've heard before that to say thank you instead of saying sorry. So what is, like, when you break down a word,
Yeah.
what is the vibe? How would you break down the word sorry?
Where you see the two R's together, it means an opposing force of magnetism. So the R is a reciprocating field, and so is the other R. So you've got these two R's. So it's the sine wave void of two opposing magnetic energies, and then the Y would be the choice. So it would be something that you engaged in by your will, that oppose two forces of magnetic energy. And the apology would be, or the sorry that you would say, would be for that opposing nature of the word.
Okay. So it's acknowledging the opposition, and kind of, and basically, yeah, I suppose it's acknowledging that.
Like the push and pull of life. You may see something good, someone may see it as bad, and to engage in these energy fields will end up with someone saying sorry or feeling sorry.
Yeah, no, okay, no, that's great. I will do that and see what I will do that.
Yeah, and it's a really wonderful thing to be able to free yourself from this energy that's inside of you by going in deep with what you're experiencing right now. These forms, if one gets embarrassed, say public speaking, or they feel that they're uncomfortable with their body, for example, the very best way to destroy that would be to actively go into that, and then to surrender in that moment. And then as you surrender in that moment, you overcome these fears, thus you free yourself. And this is all we have to do subtly through our life. And until we do, we remain trapped in our mind.
Okay, great. I think I did it energetically, but I didn't use the words. So I'll
Good
get
work.
I'll get
That's
that.
wonderful.
Yeah, but I completely get what you're saying, because I wanted to get the words right, because there are situations with my family where if I can respond like this, I would be very intrigued just to see what materializes or what manifests.
Yeah.
And so that's why I wanted to just kind of get it. But I hear what you're saying. I speak from a point of view that is about me and
Yeah.
not about them. It's
Yeah.
like, it's basically being in the I and nothing about the you or any of that. It's
Okay,
just
there you go. Because you
Yeah.
will trigger an ego very quickly if you speak about you. It's a subject that they can then attach to, because how do you know anything about me? That's what would happen. So it's very good that you see that. It's very great that you bring it up, because many people are gonna see this as well, that it's only about I. The issue is you, and what we speak about is ourselves, and we progress internally through all of these dimensions that are accessible to us, freeing us from the mind and all of its functionalities. It's not serving you anymore. You're moving to a space of freedom.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got new land, you got new life, you got nature. It's all happening for you, and this is just because the level of work that you're putting in, and the choices that you've made.
It's so,
This is
you
it's
know, John,
accessible to everybody, sister. You're doing amazing.
you know,
Sorry.
no, sorry. It's so exciting, and at the same time, I don't know whether it's my physical body or which part of me. There's a part of me that's there, and there's a part of me that's getting there, if that makes sense. And
Of
I'm
course.
kind of in this place of, I'm just in this place that's somewhere in that middle at the moment. And yeah, and it's a wonderful place to be, even, and I might start crying, but it's a wonderful place to be, even though just you can feel so much is shifting
Yeah.
within.
Yeah.
Um, and you know what, Josh? I'm in it. I'm in the flow. It's like, it feels like for the first time in ages, the things are just happening, like, like this. It's just, agent came up, house goes on the market, 9 viewings. They expect me to have an offers in the plural on Monday. The last house I saw was a good house. It's got a decent plot of land. It's not huge, but it's like manageable, and I could buy a field later. Do you know? It's just, and it felt so good. It's just, and I just keep saying gratitude when I wobble.
Yeah.
I just say, what am I grateful for right now? I'm grateful that they called me and told me it was cancelled last night. I'm grateful that, I can still see this place. I'm grateful, it's just to bring me back. That's what I found is helping me. Even last night, what am I grateful for? That she was honest with me, that she spoke to me to my face,
Mhm.
that, you didn't make it a big public thing, that, we dealt with it between each other, that we didn't, do you know what I mean? It's just,
Yeah.
it's
Constant seeing, surrendering, accepting, and being caught in the moment. You were caught in a moment, and that moment gave you this experience of uh, connection to this divine presence that was allowing life to just be with you. If you get caught up in that spiral forever, life will just continue to be happening. You know that you're really not in control.
yes,
And
that's the
then,
thing.
yeah,
It's so funny you use that word control, because that's exactly what I felt. I feel like I'm out of control, and I'm mastering allowing myself to not
to
be
be,
in control, to
yes,
be
yes,
like, that's what I've been telling myself, because I think part of the exhaustion is that I've realized that I have tried to control things so much in my life because of whatever I've experienced in the past. And now I'm mastering not being in control and actually being in flow, and what it is to let go, what it is to surrender. So actually, I'm mastering surrendering, I should
yeah,
say. I'm mastering surrendering. And when I get scared, I tell myself, you're just mastering fear. You're mastering fear, and then you're going to, stand and sit in joy and love,
yeah.
far greater ease, because you're just mastering it. It's all good.
Exactly. The fear itself is the thinkingness of projection from the experiences. Even the TV brings fears, and that fear will hold you back from freedom. because only in the acceptance and surrender in every aspect of your existence to this divine creation will you find God that's living inside of you and has always been you without the fear. And I see this happening to you, for you. The mind itself will become frazzled, almost painful in these processes, and stay strong. Stay strong.
Yes. Yes.
It's happening.
It is happening. It's so funny. People say it's going to happen. I'm like, no, no, no. It's happening. It's put the ing at the end of everything. It's manifesting. It's happening. We are going, everything in flow. Just put the ing at the end. It's happening.
It's so wonderful that you say that, because en is like the ether is ended. There's no connection, but ing is ing. And this is the flow of life in the moment that we're having in G. This is the God. This is the life force. So you're right, because to happen, if you say to happen, is not now. It's never going to. It is here. It is now, and it's happening. Wonderful.
That's so good. It's like I didn't even know that that's what it meant, but I've just been saying to people for the last week, 2 weeks, just ing. It's happening. It's manifesting. It's it's like I don't want to hear any other ending. But on that note, thank you so much.
Oh, you're doing so good. It's wonderful to see this this all come into being for you, because it's so obvious. It's so obvious to see, and I'm so happy for you.
Well, thank you so much. I couldn't have done it without you and Michelle X, and I'm doing it, and Little Man X, and all of the family that are here today.
Yes, well, we love you, sister, and continue to be that light, because it's amazing and you're shining bright.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
You too.
Good luck.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Wonderful to see. Right. Susanna, I see the hand up. Welcome. How are you today, sister? It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Brother George. Happy to be here. Hi, everyone. It was so nice listening to breathing. It's just can really relate. I've embarrassed my ego recently, so it wasn't pleasant, but it's good. Brother George, I actually have a question for you relating to the conversation you've had with, I think it's Mary Russell. That's the video that I've listened to, and it was just so powerful for me. You spoke about that the world is really perfect the way it is, and it just completely changed so much. And you've done this beautiful meditation when you just spoke of, you chose it. You decided to leave.
I have never left you. It was you who decided to leave.
Yeah.
And I remain for you.
So please go.
You carry on, sisters. I will go back.
Thank you. It's just that was so beautiful, and that really changed so much. And that's when I came to join this group, because I saw the world completely different. But there is one piece that remains, and I contemplated on it because I thought maybe initially I judged that thought, or I judged that question. I judged myself with that question. Yeah. But I need to know why. I'm just not sure why I chose to leave.
The maturation of your awareness. See, for you to come into a space ignorant of bad and evil, good and evil, you would be curious of what evil would be like. So this whole realm manifests in such a way that you get to experience through visual, even the media and the news and all these things here are perfect manifestations of awareness to take your mind to a space of what destruction and pain and all these things are actually like, without actually having to experience them within your physical nature. You have these the embodiment of the thoughts and emotions that allow this to be carried in and felt. So really this realm was only serving purpose for the evolution of your awareness. So you fell from the Garden of Eden because the stages of your evolution now in the pattern of thinkingness needed to be expressed. So you had to find expression for that curious nature. Now you're here. Now you mastered that to be able to be trusted to go back to a space where you don't need to express yourselves through the negative ways or the identity of an ego. And that really truly is the purpose of here.
And was there ever a beginning? Almost like that there was that point that was there ever a beginning? My awareness and my observer is same as your observer, correct? That we are all
Initially, yes. Initially there was one space, and that space created a sparking, an arcing from the dark, and that darkness created an energy force that manifests as a magnetic field, and that would be the dielectric nature of this existence. And as electricity connected and expressed itself, there was an awareness of itself. And as the awareness of itself grew, it was able to fathom and express itself in other ways. And it's been many, many years, and through the expression of the thought, that thought has continued to manifest through different forms of life. First life would have been water, which is basically material ether. And this allows all existence to be manifest in an experience in the physical world. And then life forms, the evolution of life forms, it's not Darwin's theory, but all consciousness that's manifests itself expressively outwardly has gone through the cycles of each form of consciousness. Human beings being the highest form of consciousness at this period in time, that can be evolved into something bigger, but only consciously. The separation of you from the Godhead is a wonderful experience, because yes, you may be of the same source, but also this experience is allowing you to be separate from that source and have your own consciousness to be able to experience life, but it's seen from one source, which gives ultimate expression of consciousness. So consciousness is this sea, a web of awareness that's interacting with all things as one unity breath, but yet you get to experience an individual expression due to the fragmented mind of this one source. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. So
Please
you've
question
mentioned,
it.
sorry, you've mentioned that we are the highest form of consciousness.
Mhm.
So is that universal at the moment that, or because what also you've mentioned before that they are obviously higher realms.
So you are the highest form of your awareness. You haven't been anything else. You are the highest form of the awareness that you carry. Other beings have transcended this space. They are higher forms of awareness. There are much higher forms of awareness, but as we could call it your soul development, has brought you to this state. And you will continue to expand your awareness, but will continue to be here until you've transcended ego, mind. And then that will take you to the next level of awareness. Yeah, there's an infinite amount of dimensions that exist. Life will continually expand, and it will never stop. It can. What you perceive is your limit.
And I also know that, some of the questions I ask, I know it's purely on the fact that I know that my awareness is still not there. But the intelligence, sometimes I just wonder, I mean, it's so huge to think that all of this, it's just the intelligence behind it to create everything that I just observe. It's beyond me. Because yesterday I went for a walk and I'm only looking at magnetism because I think I'm not trying to understand it, but I'm slowly looking at some things, and especially the Taurus field. And yesterday when I went for a walk, I had a feeling that I am there then, and then it's almost like being greeted there. And it's obviously when I'm not there, it's almost just like not there, if that makes sense. That for somebody else is because I'm walking in my own universe almost.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I kind of got it, but I didn't. It was kind of quiet on this end. So you're saying as you go for a walk, you're having a look around and you're experiencing the fact that this is here for you, but it might not be for someone else.
It was that little glimpse of the thought, which then I thought I knew things out on a map, and then my ego started talking, well, this building is always there. It's not just there when you're there to appear.
Is there as a collective conscious imprint in reality that's manifested itself? So collectively, we can perceive it if we are there. If we're not there, it doesn't exist. Because your mind, let's not use the mind actually. Let's say the impulses that's created within inside of your tool, your device that you use here, because nothing is truly real as such. You're an energy form that is on this inertial energetic plane. As your body is active in a certain position, the mind interprets this space and frequencies into these images. So they only truly exist when there is a perceiver, and if you're not perceiving it, it's empty space. It's just darkness. As your energy field goes through the realm inside the physical body interprets electrical signals and impulses, energies, frequencies, and vibrations, and then the eyes interpret them and relay it back into the brain, which then gives the imagery of a reality. There's nothing but space, darkness. Does that make sense? Yeah.
It does. If I could ask one more. When it comes to obviously the duality aspect, and for us wanting to transcend it, I still struggle a little bit with the concept of evil, or some really bad things that are happening on this earth, to people. And sometimes I feel that I know we all chose exactly where we wanted to be, but occasionally I think there are some people having really terrible experiences, and I know obviously I'm judging it now from a very human perspective, but because I know there is no such thing, but that's what I'm sort of trying to understand, because if I observe certain situation and somebody is suffering, I will do my very best to stop it. So clearly I can feel, obviously, probably in my duality, but we kind of feel the good and the bad. So I guess it's the judgment, but how could something like a love and our awareness and pure awareness create something so evil? Is it just the way we judge it? Because
it is in a certain aspect, because when you truly see, that there is no such thing as good and evil, because it just is, and it's an aspect of awareness. Consciousness is all that ever will exist, and it's expressing itself very honestly. But the interpretation of your mind says that something is good or bad, which if your mind wasn't involved, you would have no perception on it. A baby wouldn't judge a situation, it would just observe a situation, and that situation is organically manifest as an expression of God. See, suffering, from suffering, freedom comes. Without the mind creating a suffering, you wouldn't need liberation from it. So when you can perceive that things actually happen for a reason, organically manifesting for your heightening of awareness or to break through these boundaries, then everything itself is for higher consciousness. So suffering brings higher forms of awareness, and is only found in this realm. This is why Earth is this Midgard and this space that you have to break free from to be able to experience this heightened, pain-free, life. The embodiment is pain. To live is tiring. To keep your vessel in good health, you have to eat, you have to go to the toilet, you have to maintain it, you have to shower it, you have to do these things. It's still an aspect of pain. To vibrate at a certain level, the body, like I said earlier, cannot be sustained when there's a certain level of awareness within inside of it. It just pulls. And this is what happens to many yogis, at an early age. They choose to leave it because the level of vibration here is transcended. The world serves a purpose. You can focus on the good, you can focus on the evil, or you can just be free from both judgment. Your life is giving you exactly what you need at any moment to surrender the mind and its ego. If you still want life to be your teacher, you still make judgment, then it will teach, it will show you things. You'll be presented with information that will make you feel something, some pain that you want to be separate from. And it's only in the searching to be free from that separation where you find the answer, which is what you're doing. It's just a thought. And a thought is as a part of awareness that is here to be transcended now. It's separate from you. It's not you. A thought will carry a field to an emotional content that causes suffering. If a thought is left alone, it cannot cause suffering because it just is what it is. It's only your attention that gives these emotives a manifestation that causes your suffering. If you focus your attention onto the moment, then you have no focus on a thought, which creates no suffering. In any moment that is existing, there will never be suffering, just an experience.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's the mind. It's always the mind. And it's the great questions, the very great questions.
Thank you. Thank you. I feel good. I've been contemplating for some reason that why it was such a big. I've written it down because I wanted to not think about it. So I've written it down and it works. Now when I have something in my mind that doesn't let me go, I just write it down and and kind of goes away. And if I could just have a last, there's that little, if you don't mind, and is when we talk about being in a flow of life and surrendering, all of that indicates that when we, flow of life already has the way it goes. And I guess what I'm asking is that everything is pre-designed by our higher intelligence that we obviously don't have access to, because I know that from my limited mind at the moment that I'm questioning. Obviously I already, as a creator, created all, and that's why I'm able to just come back and trust myself, to learn to trust myself, to just surrender and go in that flow that is here for me. Is that right?
So I would say that the fingerprint of God the things that have a natural expression of cyclic or cyclical events is the phi ratio, the Fibonacci sequence, this golden spiral. That there works in cycles. You know, this is the organic flow and expansion of God, the torus mechanism. But within inside of that, consciousness will never ever stop expanding. It can't. And that's not controlled by the breath of the torus mechanism. That's a separate aspect of it, which I would say is just awareness. Now, that awareness that exists is fundamentally your will once you're conscious of the awareness. But until you're conscious of the awareness, you remain out of control, subject to life force awareness. So if you see that all of the beings that haven't brought themselves to a true space of awareness, the biblical senses forgive them for their trespasses, for they not know, they are reactive and automatic, that are working on a different wavelength than a conscious one. So in that aspect, that's pre-designed, that has a pre-function. It works on the animalistic 5 senses that only allow a certain awareness to function, which is automatic. This is the automatic man. To be free from this ego is to find your true expressive will. So you free yourself from the mind, the ego, which protects you. You know, the ego is necessary for the evolution of the embodiment of this physical nature and consciousness as a form of protection. It remembers, it holds on to this fear, it holds on, this isn't good, I shouldn't do these things, and it builds a residual memory, an imprint inside of you that creates a perception. As you continually evolve past this, you know how to survive. You need this no longer. Then these thoughts become a hindrance, and then that must be transcended to get your free will as such. Your true expression will only be found when the surrendering of the ego has been done. Otherwise you become automatic, you're reactive. There's no true awareness if you're reactive. You know, when you react, you can do silly things. If you're present in that moment, you will never make a mistake, because you're always in the breath of the truth. You would never react to a situation because you are the situation. You see it for what it is and you allow it. There's no interpretation of the mind. There's no thoughts generated. There's no emotion. You know, even in the senses of martial arts, for example, the only ones that are truly great fighters or martial artists have this view or outlook, because they know that it's the emotions or the anger or these things that make them make mistakes.
Thank you.
Just have to get out of your own way. You know, the identity that you think you are is not truly you. The true you exists as an observer of all of this play, and slowly by surely you bring yourself back exactly how you're doing it, piece by piece. It's the greatest puzzle, and the greatest practice would always be the surrender and acceptance to all things that are happening. You feel embarrassed, like we were saying earlier, in a situation, and you just shut your eyes, take some breaths and accept this and move forward past it. And you'll realize it was the mind that was only creating this embarrassment.
Well, you see, I had a bit of I always was very like a stickler for fairness, and I would always make a point. I would want to make a point, and almost, I just always thought I should have been a lawyer, because I would defend other people. I would make sure I would complain and I would get it right. And actually, recently, I started to become aware that I do not want to spend my life to, you know, proving a point. And it was hard, because I actually got to the point where I chose to give up. And I felt the hurt and the embarrassment of my ego. Like, I always win, you know, I always prove my point. I always work hard. And oh, that was hard. That was painful. But it was liberating at the same time too. And now there's so many occasions where I feel like I could, and I just don't. And I just leave the world. And it's so strange.
What happens? You save your energy. You don't lose energy. You acquire energy. You build your vibration, and you just cause yourself suffering. And it's just identity. It's all ego. And what a great transcendence you have done there. You know.
Thank you.
Keep doing it. It's
Absolutely.
amazing. What a fun game you're in.
Sometimes it doesn't feel like it.
Ready Player One.
Thank you.
That's very good. Do you have any more questions today?
No. And also thank you to Michelle. The last talk on diligence, it was beautiful. It really helped me so much where I was. And yeah, thank you, both of you. It's just,
You're
I
welcome.
watched it. It's really nice. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you so much for your wonderful questions today.
Thank you.
You're good, and have a great day. Love and light, sister. Take care.
Lots of love. Thank you.
I see that we had a question pop up about, I'm trying to get it up, I'm on my phone, about physical pain, I think it was. What about physical pain? What could we say? This, so physical pain, again, that happens to us all, is a perfection, something that we should not judge, something that happens to us in life. And as we evolve past the physical pain, we can truly see why things have organically manifest in that way, which would always be for our spiritual development. But how we would deal with physical pain in the moment is to be very present with it, and to accept the pain that is happening, and you surrender that pain, because all pain is relative to the nature of your physicality, and the physicality is observed by the self. So to indirectly surrender to yourself, you will find that you can be liberated from physical pain, and it's just an observing of physical pain rather than the feeling of the pain. But everything, even though it may not seem like it in the present time, with thought, once contemplated on and life has continued to be experienced, there'll be an underlying reason for that pain, and it would have brought forth a certain situation organically for you to evolve yourself higher. All of these things here are for transcendence, space that exists beyond this pain body realm, far surpasses anything that we can imagine. And we can get access to these things as we slowly progress. The insight is the inner sight that we acquire as we progress and climb the innate functions and climate within our system. I hope that is kind of answering what you were questioning, because I can't see the question. We have Sister Shanti with her hand up, and we'll go to you now, Sister. Welcome. How are you today?
Hello, Brother Josh. We are doing very well. I have something to share. These 2 weeks have been very, very interesting. Very interesting time. Many miracles. Also a lot of purification, but in general, we could say that many good things are happening. And one thing that I would like to share is that after the 14 famous fasting days, it took us a while to really start seeing the benefit of the fasting. But it's amazing because day after day we feel stronger, we feel more energy, we feel the skin is better, we are more flexible. I mean, it's really starting to see all the benefits that we created during these fasting days. And it's beautiful.
Well done. You must have had some times when you were going through the experience, but to be able to embody that and moving forward into what is bringing you the gifts, and you can't describe it. It's a very difficult thing, and I'm just so grateful that you've done it and you've experienced it, and you are being given the gifts of your service to yourself.
Yes, beautiful said. And I also I forgot what I wanted to say. Yeah, and another thing that we are working in all the tools that we have been presented, and it's very beautiful, and we are very grateful with you and with Sister Michelle. We are slowly because we need a little time to add one thing at a time, so we are a little behind on everybody probably. But slowly, and you feel the benefit. It's there, so it's very thankful about that. And I would like to ask if it is possible. I know that you are very generous giving us all this knowledge that you have and you are sharing with us. But I'm wondering if it's possible to have some video about the breathing.
Yes, definitely. I will be doing videos for all of them. But it's just been kind of difficult traveling and going through these spaces, really, because we got obviously little man goes to sleep, and we have the things that we have excess to carry, they get moved into the front at night, and we can't really work on these videos very well while we're traveling. But yes, there will be videos, and they hopefully should be done within, I would say, a month. But just continue to try your best with the words, and I will make sure that the videos there for the practice will be up and loaded so you can use them forever.
Thank you so much. We are trying to do as much.
Yeah, you just take your time with them, and I'm very looking forward to the more interactive breaths that we will be moving towards after these introductory ones have happened.
Yes, thank you. And I know that many people have asked this question about the vaccination. I mean, what you can do to help to some family member that has done the vaccination, how we can help to get rid of all. I mean, it's probably not possible, but how can we help to somebody who took already the vaccination?
It's always going to come back to the same, really. It's going to have to be chelation to get rid of the metals that have been injected, but going through serious detoxification processes, and water fasting is going to be the pure water fasting. No lemon, no salt, none of these things. Pure distilled water is the only way to really fully cleanse yourself from all of these bad substances that have been put into us or accumulated over time. Nothing more simple. So that's really the process, and then using the coriander, which is one of the only things that detoxifies and pulls our body without the water fasting from the heavy metals during the juice fasting, would be the key. But for somebody to work their way towards that, they're going to have some level of food awareness, working towards a plant-based diet, eating healthy. They're still going to find benefits. They're going to find freedom from pain, body, and they can continue to work towards having an awareness that food is actually causing their pain, suffering, blockages, and you know, it's a really big journey, and you got to realize how far that you've all come, because it's vast, and you've all come so far and done so well, and it's all integrated into your being now. You know, to be able to express it to a lower awareness is very difficult.
Yeah.
Very difficult.
Yeah.
But slow and steady, and remember that everybody's on their journey, and if they choose to
Yeah.
get these things done, we just have
Yeah.
to accept it. It's all perfect, relative, and it's meant to be.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally understand that. But you know, there is so much pressure that some people had to get vaccinated. Emotional pressure, work pressure, society pressure. And it's sad. It's really sad to see how, I would say, 90% of the people is getting vaccinated. It's crazy.
Yeah.
What is going to happen to this world after? I mean, it's sad to see.
You know, 90% of the world still needs to have their curious mind taken care of.
Yeah.
If you know, 90% of people, if they were placed inside of a wonderful fruit forest with a community, would cause a lot of issues, problems, domination, and arguments, fighting, all of these things. So, you know, the world creates these fears, these illusions, and all these programs out there to truly separate the ones that are ready to inherit the earth and the ones that still need to continue in a matrix. And this is what's happening organically. You know, even if you feel like your family members are lovely and kind, and they still need the evolution to be able to exist in harmony with nature.
Yeah.
And we just need to accept these things, give them our love, and shine our light, and the light will shine so bright that they will start to question. But if we choose to keep on, you know, showing it, then it just creates the ego identity for them to pop up, and it does cause separation. So what we can do to bring it to the highest awareness in the quickest way would just to be continue to be ourselves, and let people see how happy and high vibrational we are.
Yeah. Thank you, Josh. Now I have the last question and the most important. You know, I find that I need to work a lot in my patience. I, I really am aware of it. And it is especially this last week or so is I feel like you said, you mentioned many times, things are for you, not to you. And I totally understand that situations come to me for me to learn something, for me to be aware of my patience. But still is challenging.
Of course. It's the hardest thing you could ever do. And this is what makes it so fun. You see, you see your person just getting identified with these silly little things that absolutely mean nothing, but it's the concepts that you created that make you feel all of these things. You think things should be happening another way. Why? Why would you allow the mind to interpret life in such a way? The programming has turned us against ourselves, and we're suffering so much. And all we need to do is turn it around.
Yeah.
You know, the impatient nature of the mind. You're having this this wrath, this anger, and when you can truly see it for what it is, you just you brought that anger into being by thinking that something should be different. And to accept that, and to surrender the mind to that very moment, you can overcome it, and then the mind will quiet down. You know, I can remember, you know, when you're in situations that are extreme, and you have no identity attached to them, you're at your best.
Yes.
You truly function well.
Yes.
No panic.
Yes.
So, yeah, you have to keep working hard, and get yourself to a space where your mind is not interpreting life for you.
You
And
know,
go on,
you-
sister.
sorry,
That's okay.
you're right, because I find that in real situations, in real challenges, I'm totally quiet. I react properly. But it's the small challenges that are more challenges for me.
Yeah, yeah. It's designed perfectly for you. So
Yeah.
these are the things that you just have to keep working on.
But could you give more tools for that? Do you have
More
any or anything more that, because I remember even if I'm in the situation that I lost my patience, I remember this is for you. This is happening for you, not to you. And it helps sometimes.
if that's intellectually in the mind, says that I know this, it still won't benefit too much. So can you give a scenario? Can you give an example of a situation that may arise or may not arise? You can create a fake one if you like.
Yeah, for example, if the thing is, I'm very fast, my nature is to be very fast. And if somebody, for example, we have to go to town, but we have to do something to do at this time.
Yeah.
Just quickly, do it. Just do it.
Yeah, because you're involving yourself with other energies and you have an expectation of another energy field when this is your will. And if you're imposing will, this is a very serious energy on the other being, which will then, create spiraling out of control.
Could you say again that?
You see, you're having an expectation of someone else,
Yeah.
which that expectation there is causing your frustration.
Yeah.
And your frustrations and expectations, and when you speak out, is opposing to the other one's will. If you move fast, you move fast. Why does anybody else have to move fast?
Yeah.
If you want to go to town, go to town. If the other one's ready, if the other one's not ready, do you know what you should do?
Stay.
Go.
Yeah.
And then when you leave, your mind will be surrendered, and then your heart will come in and say, I didn't want to go without him. So why did I create all this fuss?
Yes.
We'll go when the time's ready. If you need to go faster, you should go, because you're going against your will.
Okay.
If your will is to go fast, you need to go. And the other one will start to realize that if I wanted to go, I should have been ready. Then the laws on both sides are corrected.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. And these are the things that are so subtle, so hidden.
Yes.
That we have to really express ourselves honestly, and that's what it means. If you have a will, you must action your will.
Yes.
And anytime we try to bring someone else into our will, it must be through collective engagement together. You must both have the same will. And you'll find so much freedom from that. You will find so much freedom just getting in the car and going yourself. You'll get liberated from the mind in that very moment, and then your heart will speak. It will speak to you, and it will say, you know what, I don't want to be alone. The reason why I was rushing him is because I didn't want to be alone. So if I don't want to be alone, why don't I be present in that moment and have a fun time experiencing the slow nature of my partner?
You get it.
I've blown the case.
Yeah.
It's wonderful to be able to see these things, and you just keep working at it time and time again, and you'll see your mind and how it hides. It's a great thing to be able to see. So,
but it's beautiful because at least now with all these tools that we have offered, at least you see it now.
Yeah.
You see it, you see where is the area that you need to integrate more, where is the area that, yeah, so it's beautiful. And
Yeah. And you have a traffic light system of energy in your midsection, the chakras that show you emotions to make you feel where you're lacking.
yes,
It's an incredible tool that you have. An
yes,
incredible tool.
yes.
And good luck with that, it'll be fun. Free yourself from this energy block and see what happens.
I will do it, because each time when I say something to you in these meetings, the next weeks I have some kind of, how to say it, a step forward inside, and I get for example, last time I was saying, oh, how I was craving for some foods and that, and then after 2-3 days that I say this, I think, George, I think you have some magic.
We all have magic. We just need to touch it. That's all.
Because after 2-3 days that I was saying that about my cravings of food and that, it was so amazing. It was so amazing because I saw so clear who has these cravings is the mind. Don't listen to the mind.
Yep.
Feel your body.
Feed the mind or feed the body.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. It was so amazing, but so amazingly clear. Just to see the whole picture, all these cravings is a mind, it's the ego who said it is, but it's not really a craving. It's not you who need that.
It's the expectation of the experience that you have. Is when you eat the food, you see that it doesn't serve you, but you have an expectation that's built within the mind of what this food's doing, and a memory, a residue of your past.
Yes, exactly. But I also find it interesting because, like, we are strong. Each of us, we are strong, like a small little seed. We could do anything. And I know that I can do anything. I did my 40 days fasting it was just the mind who decided to do it and do it. I know that I'm very strong. But at the same time, I realize you have to also use this strength, use this power, because you are powerful, but at the same time, respect your own body, your own process.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I learned about this fasting. So it is important to be more aware of everything.
You don't need to get tied up in anyone else's journey,
Yes.
That's key. We have our own journey and we take no expectation of it, and we allow ourselves in the moment to do what we feel is necessary.
Yes.
And the mind, as you're very aware of right now, is this function that we really have to separate from to be in the vast embodiment of God.
Uh-huh.
This is why I'll repeat it 20 times in the Bible. God is not a respecter of persons.
Mm-hmm.
This identification with our mind and the patterns that it creates is the thing that is separating us from being the true thing which we seek. To be in bliss, to be in love, and to be pure awareness, to be able to be experiencing things as they truly are, without this warped perception. That's the true gift. That's why it's called presence, and it's pre-sense.
Mm-hmm.
Before your senses have picked up anything. Judgment. Those that judge shall be judged first.
Mm-hmm.
You judge, you come into being. Now Shanti exists as an identity. She is no longer in the form of God. She's now in the realm of duality, of objective nature, experiencing life through the eyes of an ego. The ego itself will translate life to you. It will give you a commentary of what's happening just behind life, tenth of a second, you're watching the life through the interpretation of a mind. This is not being. And this mind causes every suffering of every being on this earth. This is why it's so important to do the work. This is why it's so important to see the virtues for what they are, and to see that, you know, your thoughts are a complete fabrication from the mind. And you have done an amazing thing, you and your husband, and just continue to do what you're doing. You will make it.
Yes, for sure we'll make it. Thank you, brother. Thank you so much. Thank you to sister and the little.
Ah, you're very, very welcome. We love you very much.
Thank you so much. Love to everybody. Thank you.
Love you all.
Thank
Right. I think we have no hands up now. Bonnie, I know that you can't press your hands. Ah, there you go. I can see you. Okay. Welcome, Sister Bonnie. How are you?
Hi everyone. That was really powerful. The last thing that you just said about the ego and the whole way that you said that you're not, just that whole thing. I think listening to that probably 50 times when I get to hear the recording was really powerful. So I thank you for that. But I have a couple questions. One is I've been having, it's a personal experience. I've been having like unusual weird things with my physical body and my vibration. There, you know, it's usually like a subtle thing, but it's been like for the last 2 weeks has been extremely strong and powerful, where I literally can feel the vibration in my body. Like where before it was real subtle, it's like at a 10 now. And even like the ringing in the ears, sometimes it's subtle, sometimes it's more loud. I try to, you know, I meditate, I do the breath work, I do yoga. But I've been doing just, I don't know, I just been working so long and so hard on myself, I would say, for so many years. And I feel like there's moments where I feel like I'm really getting these deep inner standings. So, and then this past week, I had this crazy, very vivid dream. And then the only way I can explain it, I think I did that thing called astral travel. It just felt so real. Like I was like literally looking down on my bedroom, and I've only experienced some things like this doing plant medicine. So this is like with no medicines. And I just wasn't sure, like, if this is normal, if it's okay, will I level out? I don't have a problem, like when I'm working, I do the, you know, the cosmetic tattooing. Thank God I'm not like, because it's an inner vibration. It's not really on the outside. I don't know quite how to explain it. And the question I also have is it what is the meaning behind it, if there is any meaning?
Do you do any sort of Kundalini yoga or not?
I have done Kundalini yoga in the past. I had a situation about 6 months ago where not doing Kundalini yoga, but I was doing something else, and my Kundalini awoke, I guess, is because when I started explaining to somebody, like the next day, they sort of explained to me like what had happened to me, and it hasn't, that's never stopped. So I had to like, I don't know, level out with that. So I do know what that is with the Kundalini.
Did it leave you or not? Did it leave you, or is it still there? Sometimes you can have a trapped energy flow from Kundalini yoga.
No, it's still, I still have it all the time, pretty much.
Okay.
There's times where I, you know, feel it stronger, but it's pretty much with me all the time. And then a couple weeks ago, I had this thing where I could really like sense the vibrations, like from my feet, like through my body, through my head. And then that dream happened. So it's just, I'm trying to figure out like how to interpret it, or is it okay, or should I do something? That's what I wasn't sure. Or should I not do something? Like maybe I shouldn't do breath work. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, what I would say is suggest stay away from the Kundalini yoga, the breath work.
Okay.
if you activate things too early, they can trap energy, and it can stay lodged within your system, but it is correctable. So I wouldn't worry about it. What I'll do is I'll send you some exercises,
Okay.
see if they can help free it up. But also you can use this as a tool to be able to, you know, activate yourself so it flows freely, always.
Okay.
But again, at this point here now, try not to identify with anything that's happening. I
Okay.
think the main focus I think today that's coming out is this mind that we all have, and transcending the expectations of all experiences that we have. To dissolve all of the thought processes that you're having coming up, and surrender and accept to this very present moment that will only ever exist.
Yeah.
To see the mind drift off, to bring it back to center that all the time. Continue to do that. Are you doing the breathing that we've been putting out?
Yes. Yeah, I've been doing that, but the breath work that I do daily is a little bit more intense than that. I've been doing it for a couple years now. So I do, like, I see visions, and I feel like my intuitive abilities and just things come to me a little bit more clearly now and quicker. The one thing, the hindrance a little bit, is I am sensitive to other people's energies. And since I work with the public, like, as people come in, I try to come from like a very loving place. And one thing I've noticed is that people around here, like, most people have had the vaccine, and the thing I do see is that they do feel safe. They feel safer themselves. So I try to honor where they are, and you know, just send them love. And I don't say, oh, you shouldn't have done it or anything. I don't do that. I actually see they have a sense of relief for where their consciousness is. So in a sense, for me, it's a little easier when they come in and they've been vaccinated, as far as their energy goes, because I feel like I do tune into what people are going through. So trying to come from that observation place instead of any judgment or any, you know, need it to be the way I want it to be. And yeah, so.
So when they come in, do you think, are they offloading a lot of their stress onto you, and you're attaching to this? Is that something that's happening?
They do come in with a full, like, a lot of energy, everything from like, I've been fully vaccinated, have you, you know, that kind of thing, to just coming in with their fear. And I try, you know, it's amazing because, like, I'm sometimes so exhausted at the end of my day, and I know it's from like absorbing all that. And if I have a client that comes in that's conscious and she's kind of more similar to I am, I notice that I'm not tired after she leaves. And I thought about it the other day. I said, wow, I said, it's so interesting. Maybe I need to just manifest all clients that are, you know, of like mine. I don't know if that's running away from, I don't know if there's a lesson here that I'm supposed to learn. But
do you think you're thinking for them when they're with you?
Do you mean in a judging kind of way?
No, when they're with you, do you think that you should be talking about a certain thing or be in a certain way to comfort them?
Yeah, yes, I do. And I never thought about it that way, but it's exhausting.
That's not necessary. See, that's your ego mind trying to create something so people would like it or like you or feel comfortable. You see, if someone else doesn't feel comfortable, that's their issue. And also, by being yourself, expressing yourself is also going to give you this wonderful upgrade, but will also allow other people to contemplate on what experience they've just happened, thus helping them get out of their level of the uncomfortable nature. That's why the word issue we know is you, because all of these issues are you. So if you're thinking for other people, there is a space that you need to transcend, because you cannot think for anyone else.
I love that. That's awesome. I never actually looked at that that way.
That's what's draining you, you see. We can, you know, we think we can be nice hosts when people come round. If we did the same thing for maybe, you know, for 10 days, we would be very drained. And because we're identifying it through that way, we probably would have an outbreak and then, you know, get quite rude. You know, I've been serving you for such a long period of time and you haven't even helped. And then they go, well, you wanted to do it. And you go, well, not really, because I was doing it to try and make you feel welcome. And oh, that was your own issue, and I was just sat here thinking you were being nice, and now I can see you're not nice. You were doing it from the ego, you know.
Yeah, I see. I get that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would suggest just try not to, you know, overthink anybody's feelings or emotions. Yes, with your level of awareness, you'll be able to feel or see people's reactions and energies quite easily. But know that they are feeling them for a specific reason, and it's not your job to make them feel comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah. So in that situation, if you were in that situation, would you just observe it from a very neutral place and just not give any, like, don't make any assessment of anything as I'm working, just focus on my work itself and not so much kind of feeling what they're thinking or.
Yeah, I mean, as a growth, I would have experienced everything to be able to find the best spot, so I knew. So initially, what I would have done is I would have brought the sense of uncomfortable or the uncomfortability to light to them and to the situation, to be able to say, are you comfortable with everything? You know, I feel like, you know, something may be here. Is there anything I can do for you? Now you've given them the opportunity to speak up. And if they say nothing, you know, you're not thinking for them, you're actually asking them.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
they've got an opportunity. If they don't speak.
Yeah. No, I like that, because I actually went through life coach training school, and that was a long time ago. And that was one of the things we did. We just like asked curious questions based on intuition and curiosity, but we really asked them for them to tap into what their higher self for their answers, instead of me trying to like figure it out for them.
Because you're doing it from the mind. You know, you're remaining quiet. The mind is saying these things. Thus, you're having to deal with all of the things that's attached to the mind, when really you could just ask.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
Just ask. Okay.
And
That's
that
all.
liberate the mind. You'll get to the truth. See, the truth is going to set you free. And how do you know if you don't ask?
Yeah, it's perfect. And as far as the virtues go, are they similar to like the yamas and the niyamas from yoga, the Yoga Sutras? Are they very much correlated with them?
I would say that all religion themselves have a similar terminology to virtues, but how they interpret them and relay them for action, I wouldn't say they're easily applicable. It's difficult to be able to bring it into life through religious texts. I feel like what we're doing here is sort of the easy way to see that the virtues are actually controlling your experience. But yeah, I would say they have a very similar expression towards the virtues.
Yeah, and one more question about the salts, because I know Santos has been talking a lot about it on like his YouTube channel, and I understood the thing about being in the womb for 9 months and what salts you were missing, and if you were born in the middle of the month, you would need a 4th salt. And from what you said today, just to clarify, basically you're saying that we wouldn't really need them externally, because there's sort of those, like, it's sort of like we were born with certain lessons or karma or learning that we have to go through with this lifetime. So therefore, that's part of our like working out our karma to become one with all that we are. Is that kind of right, how I'm interpreting that?
Yeah, I would say because it's a conductor and it allows the water to carry a conductive charge, that when you're missing a certain element of salt, you're missing a certain capacity, frequency, or flow of energy, which creates your traits.
Mm-hmm.
And as you're going through the zodiac, you're experiencing all different forms of these traits. Thus, you're born without a trait to be able to overcome that here.
So you think, so from what I'm getting from you is it's more important to work out getting this electricity to connect on its own by working out what deficiency in your trait, so to speak, rather than take something that would help the process along. Is that?
Yeah, without the trait, then you wouldn't be able to have the focus on what's needed to overcome in your, you could say, karmic debt.
Okay, So then, in a sense, the salts that you would take, the ones you're quote missing, it would almost be putting a Band-Aid, fixing the problem, but not from the outside in instead of from the inside out. Is that correct?
Yeah, you could definitely say that. I don't want to go against anything that anyone's saying because everybody has their beliefs, everybody has their thing. But you know, if you go to a doctor and they give you something that makes you feel a certain way for a certain period of time, while something's manifested in the background or the underlying issue remains, then you're not having the real remedy. But if anybody wants to try them, you know, I would say please try them for 30 days and write down how you feel. And if you don't feel any better, then
Yeah, I mean, I was taking them, but I didn't feel any different or felt nothing from them. That's why I was just curious.
yeah. Well, you know, your science is there. It's observable and testable and repeatable for you at any time. But this is how I feel about them. You know, I truly, genuinely feel that, you know, we're really, truly missing these things because if you think logically, how would anybody have a trait in a physical nature without something such as that?
It makes sense. It makes sense.
You know, we have frequencies that may be attached to the mind in certain months and cycles of our sun signs, etc. But if we're lacking an element that causes the nature of electricity to be charged through the body, there's 12 elements and there's 12 months of the year. So each element itself causes a cycling of the zodiac and a causality within the physical nature of your experience. So the avatar itself has a certain trait, and that trait must be acquired because that's directing attention to something that's missing. And, you know, the only thing that remedies these things is the divine nature of you, which is found as you connect these sine waves and become a magnetic being, having a full flow, which gives you spontaneous healing.
Perfect. And one last, it's kind of a stupid question, but I was just curious because it seems like in the last year and a half or 2 years, everything that, you know, was supposedly a belief, a belie, was up the opposite of that. So, you know how like they tell you like not to look at an eclipse of the sun, they give you those special glasses because they tell you you'll go blind. So is it the opposite? Are we supposed to look at the eclipse like, will we get some crazy energy that we didn't have before?
Well, you know, you can sun gaze. Like I said, I've been able to sun gaze in the highest point in the sky after practice in Spain where the sun's directly above me. So to look at a sun that's being covered, you know, you wouldn't get any issues within the eye. So 100% is not true. But be careful that you don't turn into a werewolf.
I know, this was like, I always thought about it. I just remember the last one. I remember everyone had these glasses and we were like afraid to look at it without the glasses. And I don't know, I was just thinking about it the other day and I was like, I bet you that's a lie too. So I figured, I have to ask Josh, he'll know.
Yeah, it's a union of energy. Your eyes absorb the radiance and the electromagnetism through them. I would suggest, you know, to have a look, to watch it. I've done it many times, and you may become aware. Aware.
I love it. All right. Well, thank you so much. Thanks for all the questions. I missed last Sunday's class. It was like, what do you mean he's not going to be on? So I like rely on these Sunday calls so much. I learned so much from everybody and it like makes my entire day. So thank you for the time that you put in and for your family allowing you to, you know, to just do this for us because we all need it, I'm sure. So thank you.
It's an absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure. Right. If you'll stay on after this, I just want to say thank you to everyone, and we're going to end the show here. Have a wonderful day, and we'll speak very soon. Sorry that the camera was off today. Just signal hasn't been very good while we've been traveling. Love you all. Take care.